Hello and welcome to Real Talk episode 66. I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts as always, Tyler and George. Cam may be with us in a little bit, but he's a bit busy today. We've got a really packed episode. A lot to talk about, a lot of movies to review. We'll be going over Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Me and Tyler will be giving our thoughts on Godzilla Minus One. We also have Wonka, Eileen. Is that it?
Not Eileen. Poor Things.
Poor Things. Sorry, Poor Things. Eileen was last week. Yeah, Poor Things. A few things to go over, as always, before we just get into it. If you do want to check out the Patreon below and look at the many benefits we have to offer, that would be great. Thank you for all your support, as always. Obviously, we've got a new editor in, so a lot of you have seen our edits. We've had some really good feedback in that regard, so that's fantastic. Remember to like, YouTube, rate, Spotify, all that good stuff. But before our packed episode today, checking in with how everyone is doing. George, how are we this week?
Good. This week was good. Pretty busy with work. I feel like everyone around the holidays just gets mad busy trying to like crunch in their like end of year stuff and make sure everything heading into the new year is all set. So been busy with work, and that's pretty much been my week. Good chunk of movies. Pretty happy about my watches this week. Got it to be a little diverse. Added in some documentaries. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Nice.
But yeah, pretty good week. Nothing to complain about. Nothing to really gloat about. But yeah, happy to be back. Missed last week, so I appreciate you guys letting me take the week off. So excited to be here.
Perfect. Tyler, how's everything been this week?
Yeah, it's been a good week. Cam and I filmed the Beautiful Boy review when he was on a work trip last week. But we also did this trivia episode that's going to be posted on Wednesday as a real quick. So if you're listening to this on Monday, in 2 days, it'll be coming out. Really fun. I gave Cam 10 trivia questions, gave him a score, see what he could get on the leaderboard. It was a very good time. So hopefully you guys like it, and it's a start of a new series type thing that we might be doing, where we try to get some different film talkers to do some trivia. But yeah, Cam went through the gauntlet. Excited for y'all to see that Wednesday. But other than that, just been a standard week with work, and had a first triple feature in a hot minute. So that was good. All bangers, just great movies.
Triple feature.
Yeah, they were unreal movies. But yeah, so that was a great triple feature. But yeah, other than that, nothing really to write home about this week.
Fair. Pretty same for me as well. Very busy, as George said, work-wise, just crazy. First week in my kind of new role, I guess. So that's been really hard to adjust to. Obviously, a lot of work, but stressful, but stressful, but not in, a bad way. Stressful in kind of, a productive way, which is always good. UFC last night. Tyler watched it as well. It was great. My boy Leon took it home in a very boring fight, but it is what it is.
Yeah, me and you were texting back and forth that whole like main card. It was a good time.
Yeah, man, I'm so good at picking fights, Tyler. It's crazy.
Yeah, you killed it.
Some guy, I had two guys mention this morning, like, oh, I placed a bet on all of your picks, and I won so much money. I'm like, yeah, that's just what I do. I don't bet myself. I haven't bet in years, but if I can get someone else some money, that's always good. But yeah, pretty good week. Pretty standard, just the usual stuff. Not really too much going on. Just kind of preparing, like George said, for the couple weeks off for Christmas. So kind of backlogging everything now, making sure everything's done. But yeah, so we may as well move on swiftly to what we've been watching. George, I know you said you watched a few docs this week, and
I want to hear about these documentaries you've been.
Yeah, I do like a documentary, a good one.
Yeah, I like randomly stumbled across this this Letterboxd list of documentaries about film. So one morning I just powered through like four of them. One of them was an hour. The other ones were like 20 minutes. One of them was TV Looks at the Oscars. It was a documentary around the 1976 Oscars, which was pretty cool. You got to see like the behind the scenes of like Spielberg's reaction to like him not getting nominated for Best Director for Jaws. You get to see the behind the scenes of people getting ready for the Oscars, their reactions, just shit like that. It was more so like just a nostalgic trip. There wasn't much like education to it, but it was a pretty cool look at the Oscars that you might not see all the time. I also linked, because a lot of these, they're not just on like Netflix or Prime, they're on like these weird websites. So I linked where I watched them on my Letterboxd review if you guys want to go and check them out.
Interesting. Some random website you're just watching like these probably these alt-right cult cult documentaries.
I watched this one called 2001 Effects and Early Conceptual Artwork. This was quick. This was like 10 minutes. This basically just runs through a lot of, like the title says, early concept artwork for 2001: A Space Odyssey. So more so just cool to see like where the vision of this movie started to where it ended. Again, that one was 10 minutes. That one was quick. Then I watched this cool one, actually. I was just talking to Victoria about this last night, called The Last Video Store. Seth, there's a video store in Bristol, the UK, which is home to a collection of over 20,000 DVDs. They even have their like very own screening room. It's called Flicks, 20th Century something, Flicks 20th Century, and it's in Bristol. And it was a really cool little documentary about like one of the last like physical media stores and how they're trying to keep it alive. And then I watched this quick documentary on Rosemary's Baby, more so just about the production, and then just the actors and actresses that were working on the production and kind of how they adapted to this environment and then created one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. So
have you watched the Making of 2001 documentary?
No, that came up on that that list. That list had so many documentaries. I want to like keep going through them because I'm like finding like these cool like quick 10-15 minute ones that are like they're quick to watch, but they're also really cool to watch. So I'll share that link on Twitter or something, but it is a cool list. I forgot that there's like 1,000 or plus documentaries on that list. And then other than that, I watched Nimona, which is this new animated movie from this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Tyler, I think you were the only other one on the pod that saw it.
No, I haven't seen it. I need to. That's like on my must-watch list before.
Okay, yeah, really, really good. One of the better animated films of the year. I really had a good time with it. Other than that, movie-wise, Chicken Run. I had my double feature of Chicken Run and Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget. First time I watched Chicken Run, so I'll give my thoughts when we talk about Dawn of the Nugget. I watched Merry Little Batman, another new animated movie from this year. Honestly, I said this in my Letterboxd review, one of the biggest surprises of the year. The first half of the movie is pretty much just Home Alone. Second half of the movie is Batman's son, just, basically just a cute little coming of age movie. Pretty much it's going to be
like Robin doing the Home Alone stuff? Or
it's Batman's son. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of down for this plot. I like it.
It was actually like it was really cute. It was fun. You get Penguin, you get Joker, you get all this like Batman lore, but it's not like this dark, brooding Batman. And that was about it, movie wise. Jungle Book I watched, but when did I watch the Jungle Book?
The OG?
No, the 2016 live action.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, and then just a couple of short films. I'm going far back just because I missed a week, obviously, on the pod. A couple of short films that were cool that I think you guys should check out. And then last night, Victoria and I watched Office Christmas Party, which is always just a good time. Seth, 1.5 on that. Too low, man.
What'd you give it?
Which one's Office Christmas?
I gave it a 2.5.
Which one's that?
That's the one with Jason Bateman.
Oh, God, I mean, I watched that last year.
It's basically, it's a 105-minute music video for early 2010s dance music.
Yeah,
that's what the movie is.
I do remember this.
But yeah, that's about it. That was my week. Pretty all over the place with shit.
Nice. Tyler, what have you been watching?
Yeah, so started the week off with Rear Window. That was the first watch for me. Really loved it. Like really phenomenal. Like it was really close to a 5-star. Honestly, I gave it a 4.5 star, but just crazy how simplistic and basic it is. Like literally a man just looking out his rear window, observing his neighbors. But you're just gripped the entire time. But I mean, it's Alfred Hitchcock. That's kind of his specialty. Is just he's the master of suspense. It's literally his nickname. But loved Rear Window. Not as much as Psycho, but like it's up there. It's getting close. Watched Ennis Men, which came out.
I haven't watched that yet. Actually, I need to watch that. It's the Cornish horror film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very experimental horror film. I didn't love it, but it's like Skinamarink plus. Like it's very similar to Skinamarink in a lot of ways. It's a woman who's on a Cornish island working, observing a flower, and you just kind of see her get a little delusional as she's kind of out there alone working long hours and she starts seeing things.
About that,
I've heard very like mixed. I mean, you can tell by the letterbox graph; it's very similar. You know, it's like a Skinamarink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I definitely looked at more than Skinamarink though.
Probably a bit nicer than Skinamarink, I would say. In terms
Believe
of
it or not, I posted yesterday. Sorry to interrupt you. What are you watching, Tyler? I posted my 10 worst movies of the year video yesterday, and Skinamarink was on that list. I got probably like 2 comments about Skinamarink. I got hundreds on Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I briefly looked at your
Yeah,
comment section and saw it was just all Five Nights.
That's
Dude,
not
all
right.
Five Nights at
But
Freddy's.
I put it in my bottom 20. I think it was like 6th or 5th in
I
mine.
mean, I
And people
expected
were
people to
crazy.
like shaft me for Skinamarink, but it was
Well,
Five Nights
Skinamarink
at
a lot
Freddy's.
less seen. There was Five Nights at Freddy's is this game adaptation just like built up a huge fan base to be it's like
I
a franchise
guess.
film, so people are just all over it, aren't they?
Fair.
Yeah, the fact that it came out the same exact day on Peacock and it still made like what 200 or 300 million
Yeah.
at the box office. I imagine the overall total view count's got to be insane on Five Nights at Freddy's. So
I'd actually like to hold on. Carry on, Tyler. I'm just checking.
I watched Chicken Run for the first time. I did not actually get to Dawn of the Nugget, so I'll have to sit out for your guys' discussion of Dawn of the Nugget. But I saw Chicken Run for the very first time. But honestly, it might have not been my first time. It's one of those where it's like probably saw this as a kid at some point, but don't really remember it. Watch Rustin, which is a Netflix original civil rights movie. Trying to find the name of it. Coleman Domingo is getting some Oscar buzz for his performance in this.
He's getting a lot of Oscar buzz for that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Oscar buzz for like the 7th or 8th best actor like nominee. Like I don't think a lot of people are predicting him like to be a nominee, but a lot of people are like this. He could be a sleeper nominee. His performance was fine. I mean, it's a standard biopic. It's a really safe movie. I mean, we talked about last week, I think Leave the World Behind was produced by Barack Obama. This was also produced by Barack Obama. It's just like a very safe movie. It's about a civil rights activist who's coordinating the March on Washington, and he also happens to be homosexual, which at the time, and I mean, even still today, obviously, is a very contentious issue, and it made him be ousted by a lot of people, and it just added a whole new wrinkle and struggle to his fight for change. So like with that subject matter and that person, Rustin, like you could do so much and make such like a searing, cutting biopic, but it was just like it just felt like you're watching like a Wikipedia page unfold. It's just like, okay, like this happened and this happened, this happened. Minor emotional moment that didn't really cut that hard because you didn't care enough about the characters, and then the movie's over. So I was like, this was just not the greatest, but sure, he was fine. Like he's good, whatever. Watch a haunting
in Color Purple, right? So
right, yeah, because he's in 2 movies, and I think that's the other one, which also sounds like it's like not getting as much awards buzz as people expected, but I think it's mainly because it's just coming out so damn late in the year that it's just kind of tough. Like, I feel like if you want Oscars, if you want genuine Oscars, you can't like release your movie in December. Like if you like genuinely want to get them.
No. What I will say is Coleman Domingo. That man does not look 55. It's kind of crazy.
He's 55?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He looks much younger.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Good looking dude.
He's got that whatever juices in Hollywood flowing in him. Whatever. Erewhon grocery store, $35 green juices, keep you young. Watch Haunting in Venice to cap off the Poirot trilogy. Definitely liked it the most, like compared to like Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, but that's not really saying much. But it's still like very average overall. But it was genuinely like more like scary is the wrong word, but there was like so many stupid jump scares, and I was like, oh, it's just so unnecessary. And like they like extra cranked the sound effects, it seemed like, for those jump scares. So I was like, it's just not even enjoyable. It's supposed to be like a detective mystery, and just like every time someone like turns a corner, it's just the loudest ear-shattering bang. I'm like, oh, cool, you got me, man. Which is always my least favorite thing in horror movies because it's just so annoying. Rewatched The Gift, which I really like The Gift. Yeah, and I didn't realize until this watch that it was directed and written by Joel Edgerton, which I really like Joel Edgerton.
Yeah,
so it's cool to see him direct and write this and star in it. So he kind of crushed it, and he produced it. This is like his baby, his gift, I guess you'd say. But just such a creepy, unsettling movie.
I just think the ending just ruins it. The whole film's really good. I just don't like the ending at all.
Just because it's like too fucked up.
It's not even that. I just think it's so like fed to you in a way where it's just kind of boring and expected. Yeah, but I really like the whole kind of first half, where he introduces himself and he just like tries to get into their lives. He's leaving presents at the doorstep. Rebecca Hall's obviously great as well, and Jason Bateman. It's a really good cast, actually. I actually really like that film a lot.
Jason Bateman's just so likable in so many movies, but he also played like being so unlikable so well. Like he's just a great actor for like what he's typecast for. Yeah. Like he can just crush. Rewatch Eileen,
this movie.
Which I still liked it. It's just nothing crazy, but it's still like a solid movie. I watched Dream Scenario, the Nick Cage movie, where he's like in everyone's dreams. I honestly liked it more than I thought. The initial reviews I saw from some mutuals on Letterboxd were pretty lukewarm. I gave it 3.5, so it's not super high, but basically Nick Cage just starts randomly appearing in everyone's dreams, and then more and more people are just like, I've never met you, but I'm dreaming about you. You're like either trying to have sex with me, or you're trying to kill me, or like you're just like standing there watching me, just a bunch of creepy stuff. And it's just kind of like a film about.
Is that what that movie's about?
Yeah, he just starts showing up in people's dreams. It's kind of like
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, the movie.
I want to watch that now. That sounds.
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
kind of like about like the hive mind of society and like how like it just becomes a global phenomenon, and then Nick Cage is just a famous man for being in people's dreams. It's definitely comical.
I had no idea that's what that movie was about.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, and Nick Cage has been in like 7 movies this year, I think it is. This isn't like on a scale of normal actor to full on Nick Cage. This isn't. There's probably like number 3 full on Nick Cage for the year. So it's like above average for him on the year, but it's like Butcher's Crossing, for example, was a Nick Cage movie this year that he was just like a normal actor and didn't really unleash the cage in him. This one, he gets a little cagey, but Devil or not Devil All the Time. I always think that's what it's called. It's the one with Joel Kinnaman from this year.
I haven't seen it. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Is it The Devil Inside? Something like that?
Something like that. I don't know why I can't. But if you're listening to this, the Joel Kinnaman Nick Cage movie from this year, that's the one that's like Nick Cage at 250%. That's him just going absolutely insane. And then, of course, Wonka, which we'll talk about, Poor Things, which we'll talk about. My triple feature concluded with The Boy and the Heron and Godzilla Minus One. Since Seth also saw Godzilla Minus One, we'll save that for a little segment later. The Boy and the Heron I really liked. But like you said, Seth, I think it's best when you have all of Miyazaki.
Did you watch any beforehand?
I
told you. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just like Studio Ghibli. I'm just not a big Ghibli guy. I know you guys are, but it's like nothing will ever compel me to turn it on. It just doesn't like excite me. I don't know. But
I guess you're just thinking The Boy and the Heron is like one of the worst ones. You know what I mean? To go into for a...
Yeah. The sound went out in my theater when I watched it. It was just kind of funny, and it like happened at a moment where like there was like this like explosion in the sky like an hour in. So like we all just kind of sat there and we're like, maybe there's like an intended silence, and there's no dialogue for another like 15 seconds. Like you didn't see anyone's like mouth moving or anything. So we're like, maybe this is. And then finally they showed Mahito's face and he started like talking. We didn't hear anything. We're like, okay, this is not supposed to be silent here. So someone ran out to get the theater person, but it only took like 30 seconds. They rewinded it a minute.
That was doing Avatar, I remember.
Yeah, it was just funny because we were all just sitting there like, this might be intentional, but we can't really tell. It just happened at such an exact moment of like an explosion that we were like, I don't know. Rewatched The Holdovers when I got home from that. Just such a good comfort movie for me. And then The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which we'll be talking about on Friday for the Real Quick review this week.
Perfect. As far as me, I rewatched Oppenheimer for the first time since. Really great. I bought the 4K the other day because I want Anna to watch it. I think she'll really like it. Man, the poster on that film is so terrible.
I hate that poster.
So bad. It's like an MCU poster. I'm so sorry I missed out on getting the Steelbook because that's got like the nice poster, where he's like walking. Yeah. Like a shot of him walking.
That's like the only one that's good, yeah.
No, there's actually a few. I actually don't mind the one where he's got the goggles on. It's like he's like looking out the window.
Yeah, I mean anything's better than that one where it's just
some
like
of the alternate posters on Letterboxd are sick. Like they need to start using those posteriety posters more often.
It's because they just need Cillian Murphy's face front and center.
Yeah,
with
a bomb.
Which is weird because he's like never been a really lead until this. So it's like
but Cillian Murphy's is still like a huge name. Like Peaky Blinders, for example, is just such a huge show, and also he's worked with Nolan before many times. So it's just like one.
Yeah.
It's like Kills of the Flower Moon. Those posters were fucking atrocious.
It's also a Christopher Nolan movie. I don't think he needed a poster for this movie. He could
exactly. I don't think
sheet of paper with the word Oppenheimer, and he still would have made $1 billion.
It'd be so jokes if they just had Josh Peck on the cover with his hand over the button. That's just the Oppenheimer cover.
So we watched Oppenheimer. Really great. Remains my number 2 of the year. Yeah, number 2 of the year.
What was one again? Oh, Flower Moon.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, I forgot.
I watched The Magician, which is a cool Bergman film. Watched Wonka, which obviously we'll speak about. Watched Sunrise, Song of Two Humans, which is really, really great. I watched Justice League.
I can't believe you.
So
the point of the Snyder Cut. I mean, I know you want to experience all of them, but like
I didn't know that, to be honest. I thought it was like 2 separate films at first.
Dude, we've talked about this so many times.
No, but it was more like I just put it on like
I mean, I'm weirdly happy you watched it because I'm more interested for you to watch the Snyder Cut now because I'm more interested for you to just see like the difference in vision between the two.
Yeah. It was more like one of them I just chucked on when I was like working. It was just so bad. It's like,
so bad.
It's crazy how bad that film is. It's so ugly. Everything's a mess. Nothing makes sense. The ending is terrible.
I think that movie has the worst superhero line of all time when Superman is flying towards Steppenwolf and goes, "Is this guy still bothering you?"
Oh my god.
It's my least favorite line in any superhero movie.
Joss Whedon made out like a bandit on that because on Letterboxd and IMDb it still says directed by
Yeah, it
Zack
still
Snyder.
says
So
Zack
Joss
Snyder.
Whedon just made out like an F.
Did he direct it?
Well, because it was like the whole thing where Zack Snyder basically
Seth,
was
come
directing
on.
it, and then
I don't
his
fucking know this shit.
was it his daughter or his son Seth?
It was his daughter.
Unalived herself, so he stepped away, and then Joss Whedon took over like halfway through. But it's just like, but it's still in 50 years from now, are like kids are gonna look back and be like, man, Zack Snyder directed a shitty Justice League movie in 2017. Like people would just Joss Whedon will just get away like a bandit.
That is weird.
Seth, watch it today. Watch Snyder Cut today.
No, it's like 7
I'm not gonna
hours
lie. I when I saw
Too
the
long.
first Justice League because I watched it chronologically, I was like, "There's no way like a Snyder cut can actually be better." Like, because I gave the Justice League like 1, I gave the Snyder cut like a 4 or 4.5 or something. Like, I was shocked how much I liked it more.
It's night and day. Like I think Seth, I don't think you're gonna love the movie. I think Snyder Cut will be like a 3.5 type movie for you, realistically.
Yeah, but it's like 7 hours for 3.5.
It's episodic though. You can there are title cards for part 1, part 2, so you can literally watch it as a limited series if you want.
I know, that's kind of what it's made for, though. You want to watch it in one, don't you?
I mean, I think it would have been smarter for him to have released it as a limited series, just 6 or 7 with the epilogue.
Kind of like what
episodes.
the Hateful Eight ended up doing.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Quick random side thought on Zack Snyder. Sorry to butt in, Seth, but I posted like a DC ranking on TikTok, and I put Snyder's Batman vs Superman at 4, and then some of the comments were all like, "This man put Batman vs Superman at 4. Like this guy has no taste." And genuinely, I was like, are they mad I put it too high or too low? Like, I genuinely don't know when it comes to Snyder.
I think too high because maybe a lot of people haven't seen the other cut.
Probably 50-50 on
but like,
it.
yeah, you can't be fully sure because there's so many Snyder fans. Like, because like obviously we saw with like the whole Rebel Moon scores coming out. Like everyone is like, such an anti-Snyder agenda. But I was just like funny. I was like, I actually don't know if they're mad I put it too high or too low. But yeah,
that is like crazy low rated even for a Snyder film on Letterboxd, isn't it? So maybe it is. I don't know if
all of Snyder's movies have like
but that's like a 2.2 or some shit. That's like a low.
Damn,
do you know what I mean?
That low?
Yeah, I think so, somewhere around that.
I'm so excited.
Whereas at least like Man of Steel, don't be excited for Rebel Moon. George is terrible. At least,
but does the extended cut also? The extended cut also comes out this weekend, right? Like you get 2 versions.
I don't know. I actually no. He didn't mention that when we went to the thing. I have no idea what's happening with that. I don't know if that's confirmed. Is it confirmed? Maybe it is.
I don't know. If it does, I'll definitely just watch that instead because it sounds like you and everyone else said. There's no reason.
Absolutely watch that. 100%. Like that's the cut. Do you know what I mean? That's the director's cut. What the studios wouldn't allow. So 100%. But the cut I saw.
Sorry to push you on it aside. Go ahead.
Sorry, George. Literally watched Godzilla Minus One and Dawn of the Nugget. Didn't watch too much this week. And that is pretty much it. Yeah, it is. Perfect. So we'll go on to our movie reviews of the week. We've got a few. I think we'll start off with obviously Poor Things. I didn't get a chance to see it. Well, didn't get a chance because it's not out. I think it releases here like the 13th of January, so not crazy bad like usual, but it's still annoying because like I did want to watch it this year because I'll probably end up doing like like a 2023 ranking at the end of the year when I won't be able to include it, and everyone will be like, "Oh, I have to go through that again," which is great.
Dude, I started like writing down just in my notes app like all of like my end of year videos I want to do. Like I did the worst movies yesterday. Today I think it's like mad stressful. There's like a lot of things I want to talk about.
I'm saving mine for January 1st at this point because I have so much I want to catch up on.
I'm doing mine
Seth,
all
on the bright side
week.
for our draft that we'll probably do like on Real Quick in a couple weeks where we do most anticipated for 2024. Poor Things. You can pull a Babylon and draft that in the draft.
Yeah, but am I anticipating it that much though?
Oh, I thought you were excited for it, but either way, I can text you when we're done, just if you want to be completely removed from like and don't want any spoilers or anything spoiler or anything. But
yeah, well, bye. See you later. Have fun.
Shouldn't be too long.
No.
George, Poor Things. You saw it at the New York Film Festival, right?
Yeah,
not a separate early screening.
No, Film Festival second, I believe. Because December was the opening night film, and then I believe Poor Things was number 2. So second film with a film festival. Definitely one of my favorites of the film festival. I think I have it at number 2 right now, behind Hitman, the Linklater flick. And again, one of my more anticipated of the year. I still haven't seen The Favorite, which I like fucking hate to admit because I love just Emma directed Yorgos directing Emma. I think it's a match made in heaven, especially in Poor Things. So I need to continue that little relationship there. But no, I think this was brilliant. This sits just inside my top 10. I think in my well, I don't think. I know in my Letterboxd review, I referred to this as an ode to creativity. And I think that's pretty much exactly what this is. I think Yorgos is playing with so much in this movie that you just don't see a lot of filmmakers like handle. And he's also just giving us a really thematically rich screenplay while also just having the best time of his life behind the camera. It's really, I know you said in your Letterboxd review, it's very sexual filmmaking. It's about sexual liberation, religious liberation. There's a lot to process when you're watching Poor Things, and I think there's just a lot to love from this movie. Freedom, identity, power. Obviously, we refer to Willem Dafoe's character as God, so I know you touched a lot on religion in your Letterboxd review, and I'm sure you'll touch on it again here, but that is more so, I'm not going to say at the forefront, because I do think the sexual liberation and that aspect of this film is more so in the forefront, but religion is right there with it, like you said. But yeah, like I said, I think Yorgos is he's utilizing a lot of camera work techniques, color schemes, editing decisions that we've never seen him play around with, but we've also never seen other filmmakers play around with. And while doing so, he's giving us this screenplay. Emma's giving us this incredible performance. Mark Ruffalo, who I'm a slight hater of, I think he is number 2 on the Best Supporting Actor list this year behind RDJ. There's just a lot coming together in this film that just make it such a unique and just wacky experience. And I say wacky in a very good way. It was very funny, the movie. It was also very insightful, very important, I think, in terms of this year's filmography. I think this sits, closer to the top of the list of just important films that I think a lot of people need to see because, like I said, we're touching on growth, sexual liberation, freedom, identity, religion, which again I'm sure you'll touch on more. But yeah, this sits just inside my top 10. I believe it's number. Where's my Letterboxd? It's my number 9 right now, and just looking at my top 8, I could see it going up a few spots on rewatch. So I would like to rewatch it before the end of the year if I have the chance. But yeah, I thought this was great. This is one of the better experiences of mine at the film festival. It was obviously one of my more anticipated films of the year. Emma is still my number 1 on the list of best actresses. I know a lot of people have Lily Gladstone at the top. I know a lot of people are pulling for Sandra Hüller, who I think was also fantastic in Anatomy of a Fall. But I think Emma just took her name and put it in the stratosphere with the all-time greats after this movie. Not that she wasn't there already. I think she was, personally. I think she's been one of the best actresses of the last decade or so. But I think this one just elevated her to the heights of a Cate Blanchett or something. And maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but that's how much I adore Emma and her in this role.
Yeah, I mean, Emma Stone is phenomenal in this. It's crazy that just looking back and scrolling through Netflix and just seeing other Emma Stone movies from yesteryear of like House Bunny of the world.
Yeah,
and like
she has a wild filmography.
It's like she went from being such a being in just like kind of
Easy
comedies,
Crazy Stupid Love,
right? Just nothing crazy, nothing great, but like always good, but never like great films. I mean, some of those like Crazy Stupid Love, I really enjoyed. Superbad's one of the greats, but I mean, in terms of when you're talking about like filmmaking, like they're not going to be like the super experimental, the super Oscar worthy type movies. Whereas Poor Things and The Favorite, like the movies she's starting to get into now, La La Land, like she's really starting to dive into being like one of the elite tier actresses in Hollywood. I love her in this, and I think Lily Gladstone was great this year. But the thing is with her, I think her performance is so good for like what it was. But this year we just had so many actresses who like transformed, like Emma Stone transformed for this. Kaylee Spaney, I think, transformed for Priscilla. So like Lily Gladstone for me might be like my top 5 still, but she's not top 3. I don't think for me right now.
She's my number 5. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think she's still gonna be in my top 5, but I don't really have her like as like an elite contender for winning. But I think Emma Stone is so good in this. Like she really runs the gambit of not only just being such a bizarre performance, but she goes from starting as basically an infant where she's can barely walk, is completely uncoordinated, can't say any words. She slowly starts to learn language, slowly starts to become more coordinated until the very end. She's basically walking completely normal, completely coordinated, and fully fluent and proper language and well educated. And you just see her really transformed slowly throughout this movie, and it's really incredible to see. So her performance is amazing. I am a Mark Ruffalo hater. I do think he was really, really good in this. We'll save it for the spoiler talk, but my favorite supporting actor in this still was Christopher Abbott. He's not in it as much as Mark Ruffalo, but good God.
Great.
And like this movie, like you touched on, is just so heavy on just like sexual independence, religious liberation, spiritual exploration. There's a lot of stuff on the surface that's so obvious that it's a religious film in terms of, Willem Dafoe's character is named Dr. Godwin Baxter, but he goes by God. And then the first kind of thing that Emma Stone does in his house that grants her pleasure is an apple. So I was like, okay, those are like very obviously like religious. But it wasn't until I got home when I started I was like, I'm just going to Google some of the names of people in the cast and just see like if there's other connections here. So I Googled like Wedderburn, like the last name of Mark Ruffalo's character, who kind of comes and takes her away from Willem Dafoe. And it's like, oh, okay. So Robert Wedderburn was this notable preacher in the late 1700s who fought for social reform and abolition of slavery in Britain. And like Emma Stone is basically Willem Dafoe kept her in the house, was like, you're not allowed to leave. And, basically said, you're going to do exactly what I say, live with me forever. The guy, I can't remember his name in the movie, who wants to marry her initially, is like, yeah, you can marry her, but like you guys have to live here forever and like never leave. So she's basically a prisoner. And Wedderburn's the guy who kind of fights for her abolition, takes her away. There's other stuff like Margaret Qualley's character Felicity is the name of a biblical slave. A lamb is an important symbol in this film, which is both suffering and triumphant. So there's just a lot of connections that I started to simply just like Googling just like the name and then religion. Like in Google, I just got like so many connections. So I was like, okay. So it wasn't anything like when I was watching it, I made all these connections other than like the God thing and the apple. But very quickly, I just went down this rabbit hole. I was like, okay, this is all starting to really start to come together here. I think Yorgos Lanthimos is just such a cohesive film in terms of his vision. I love like the use of fisheye lenses in terms of like it makes us really feel like we're watching, like a fish. Like we're watching this experiment where they're, we're kind of on the outside, the creator, the viewer of this experiment, and we're just simply watching things unfold. The production design was crazy. So much of it was practically done. The colors are so beautiful. Like when she's looking over the city in Lisbon, when they're on the boat to Greece, so many of the shots of the sky or the smoke or the fog from the steam engine, everything just had such crazy visual colors. I honestly wish there was more of it, because I feel like every time we got it, it was such a beautiful splash. I'm like, oh man, that's just like so great. And it just looked this film looked incredible. It starts in black and white and then becomes in color when she kind of becomes freed. So very tied to kind of not only her liberation, but also, she's young and can barely speak and barely move. Things are black and white. And then, she's opened up to a whole new world of color and starts learning things. Yeah, that's kind of all I'll go and do for the non-spoiler part, but it's definitely a movie that I was really interested to see what people in my theater thought. Cause like I was with a generally older crowd, and I think in general people liked it, but I don't know if obviously it's a very graphic film in terms of like there's a lot of nudity and sex in it, and I don't know, I feel like sometimes older audiences might not love that, but I didn't really get a vibe of people hating it. No one walked out or anything, and I feel like if you were the type to get offended by this, there's a lot of opportunities where you could have just walked out, and no one did. So it's like, okay, I think we might be okay here. But really enjoyed it. Comedic gothic drama. It's at my number 10 of the year. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I guess I'll throw up the spoiler tags and kind of like open up our discussion a bit. But where would you like to start on spoilers?
I don't know. I mean, this isn't a movie I would like necessarily care to spoil, just because one, I know our UK audience hasn't really seen it yet, so I want them to go in as blind as possible. But also, there's not a lot of like story beats here that like I think we touched on. I think the important parts of this movie are in its themes and in its messaging, which we kind of touched on. I don't think there's anything necessary unless you want to go into anything spoilery.
Not super deep, but I guess I would say like first off the bat, a lot of people are gonna be, this is a movie that had a lot of buzz before it came out, where people were like, oh my god, like Emma Stone, there's like a 20-minute sex scene, which probably all combined throughout every sex scene in the movie, it's probably like, yeah, that's probably about accurate.
Yeah.
But just, I guess, kind of like laying the groundwork for what those are. So she's, and I guess it's not really spoilers, but I guess I'll talk about the plot a little more deeply without worrying about like revealing too much. But film starts with her as an experiment where she basically was a woman named Victoria who threw herself off a bridge and killed herself when she was pregnant. When we later find out she was married to a man with the last name Blessington. I don't have his first name, but also I just feel like choosing the name Blessington for the last name, I was just like, there's just too much here that have to be religious, like religious backgrounds here. But she kills herself. Willem Dafoe finds her. He's kind of this experimentalist university. It seems like he's like a professor at some university, or at least he does like public exhibitions of what he's doing for his surgeries. He takes the baby out of Emma Stone. She's already dead at this point. Victoria is. She takes the baby out and takes the brain from the baby, puts it in Emma Stone's head. So the baby is sacrificed, recreates Victoria to become alive again. He takes her in as his daughter, names her Bella Baxter. And that's kind of why she starts off as this, infant mentally. Like she literally has no words she can speak. She's learning about like 10 to 15 words a day. She can't walk. She can't catch things thrown at her. She has no coordination whatsoever. And the main, the whole first third of this movie is her gaining the ability to walk, gaining the ability to talk, getting that cognition level in her brain up. And as she's doing this, Willem Dafoe takes on like a student of his to be like a live-in, basically observer. Like his job is just to fully observe and take notes on everything Emma Stone is doing throughout this, Bella Baxter's doing throughout this. I'm trying to find out what that dude's name is, like in the movie. Max, maybe? I don't know. I think maybe his name is Maxwell or Max, but
Max McCandless.
Yeah, perfect. And he starts to grow an infatuation for Emma Stone. He becomes attracted to her and he wants to marry her. And Willem Dafoe's like, sounds good, but you have to stay here forever. But we got to get this signed off by a lawyer. That's where Mark Ruffalo's character comes in, Duncan Wedderburn, I think. And he's like, I got to see this woman who's being kept in her room and like has to have such a strong legal contract to make sure she never leaves. Goes up to see her. He's like, damn, dude, she's fine. And then he's like, I'm gonna take you away from here. We're escaping you. You're coming with me. We're gonna go on an adventure. You can't be cooped up in here forever. And that's kind of when the whole movie sets in motion. He takes her to Lisbon. They go to Greece. They go to maybe Paris. Probably another stop along the way, but they really just go throughout, Europe, traveling. And at this point, mentally, she's getting to the point where she's already, when she was at home, like I said, in the non-spoiler part with the apple, she's experiencing sexual pleasure at this point. So she's probably like just raging hormones around, probably like mentally, probably like late teen, early adult age at this point. So she's experiencing sex for the first time. She just wants everything Wedderburn has to offer and more. She has no quit in her. She just wants to go, go, go. So that's where you get a lot of the initial nudity is from them, Mark Ruffalo, just hairy ass shot. You get a nice hairy ass shot of Mark Ruffalo. But he was just fully committed. And one thing we talked about last week, and I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, where like people were like would joke on set that Mark Ruffalo was going to be replaced by Oscar Isaac in the cast.
I saw that.
I mean, Oscar Isaac would, I'm sure, be great, but I feel like he is too good. Like Mark Ruffalo is a good looking guy, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's like the perfect level of good looking for this role. Whereas like Oscar Isaac would have been too like suave and good looking,
too clean. Yeah.
Whereas like Ruffalo kind of had to be a little bit of a loser, at the same time, or like pathetic. And I don't think Oscar Isaac could really be that pathetic because he's just like too like,
he's too cool.
I don't know. He's just too like epic looking. Like you wouldn't turn down him. Whereas Mark Ruffalo with his little hairy self, you can kind of be like, he's a little pathetic. But yeah, they just travel the world having sex and experiencing new things. And then kind of ultimately, I'm not just going to go through the entire plot, but then like just going over like the nudity parts. Then later in the film, she becomes, when she leaves Wedderburn, because she's kind of like, you know what, I've only tasted you as like one flavor in my life. I'm not really interested in that anymore. And he just started to get too controlling, too aggressive with her. And she needed money. She was on her own. So she joins a brothel and becomes a prostitute. And then you get just montages of just like a ton of different men just going in there and having sex with her. So that's kind of where most of the nudity from the movie comes in. But I mean, it's one of those things that like it's either going to bother you or it's not. I think it's a very hard line in terms of people are either like put off by nudity or they aren't. And I feel like I don't know, like I don't really have an issue with it. I mean, at some points I was like, I mean, this is getting a little much in terms of just like, I don't really need to keep seeing all these like dudes going to town on Emma Stone, but like I didn't actually like care enough to like ever make it like sour my opinion of the movie. But yeah, I don't know. Did you ever think it was too much?
No, I don't know. The brothel scene, I was trying to like gauge like my theater's experience when that scene was kind of going on, because we were like the first batch of people to have seen it. And it didn't seem to bother a lot of people, and I'm honestly surprised how I don't know about you, maybe I'm on just the wrong side of TikTok and movie Twitter, but I have not seen any like discourse around just the amount of nudity in this movie. Like it's like surprised. Like I saw more discourse around Oppenheimer's nudity, and there was
true.
Just like compared to Poor Things, Oppenheimer was a PG movie. But no, it was never off-putting. Especially because I think this movie is just so rich in its themes, and its screenplay was so strong that everything just it made sense. It felt warranted. It didn't feel like Yorgos was like, okay, let me just toss in this 25-minute sex scene of various men going to town on Emma Stone just for the fuck of it. It felt, I guess, rewarding. It felt warranted, and it felt needed in this movie to progress the plot and the character of Bella Baxter forward. So it never bothered me. Nudity in general in movies doesn't really bother me, and then I guess if it doesn't bother me in Poor Things, where yeah, maybe at times a lot of people will say it could have been excessive, then I don't know. I don't think it's going to bother me in general. I think it was fine and I guess tasteful, maybe. I don't think that's the right word given that she was in a brothel, but just the fact that it was warranted in the screenplay just makes it, appropriate.
Yeah, for sure. And the entire supporting cast was just so good in this movie. It is such a well cast movie because I mean, obviously Emma Stone's the star here, and Mark Ruffalo is probably the clear number 2 in terms of like screen time and stuff to do. And then Willem Dafoe probably in there at 3. But then you get these minor supporting roles of like Catherine Hunter as the brothel runner. It was just so great. On the boat when they're going to Greece. Didn't love Jared Carmichael, honestly, but I'm going to reserve that for maybe just like his whole point was he's such a rigid philosophy. He was supposed to be like the guy who's like very much clear cut, right or wrong, dry, drab, no real fun. So I maybe that was the kind of like the point of his character to be super stiff. But like Christopher Abbott at the end being Victoria's original husband that she committed suicide to get away from. I thought he was so great. It just immediately you realize he's just like this controlling asshole that just wants to absolutely just take over her life once again.
Margaret Qualley coming in as like the new Bella Baxter was fucking hilarious.
I wish we got more of her. Like not actually because of the screenplay, but like just because Margaret Qualley is so great, and I feel like she could have been.
Every time I see Margaret Qualley, I swear, in my head, I think, okay, this is going to be like a breakout role. And then she always just takes like such a crazy back seat. Like she's like, and I know she had like a much larger role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but like she's good enough to like either support a movie or even lead a movie. And like she was so underused in this movie.
Yeah, I would have loved to see a little more of her, but the only part in the brothel scene that was like off-putting was when the father was like
teaching his sons.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was the weird part. But I mean, what year was it supposed to take place in? Obviously,
that's the thing. Like, you don't really know. Like
you don't know.
It also could be future. Like it's kind of just this alternate world, or science fiction world, because there's a lot of things that happen science-wise that's going on that you might think would be futuristic, but a lot of the settings could be past.
There's like flying cars.
Right, exactly. So
but then they're dressing the way they dress.
Yeah, it's just this alternate science fiction, alternate reality, which was really cool. But I think visually this movie was incredible. The production design was hitting on all beats. Yeah. And then the final ending with the lamb I thought was hilarious. And just the entire movie I had a really good time with. Never was like, I was always in love with the technical aspects, like the costume design, the production design were always incredible. And I was always in awe of Emma Stone's performance, but I was never like in love with the movie as it was unfolding. Like I was never like, oh, this is like amazing. Like I'm really enjoying this, but I never like disliked it. So it's like a 4-star for me from a production aspect. Everything was incredible. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't like a movie where I was like, this is like something I can't wait to rewatch. Like, this is going to be a new favorite of mine. But it's definitely like one of the best movies of the year in terms of like a cohesive vision put forward. Gonna be really interested to see where the Oscars go. I know we're like super early in award season to the point where like nothing's really like locked in yet. I don't really like. I know
This
Emma
is
Stone's getting the
locked
most
in.
buzz, but
Yeah,
what
like
else?
I think this is locked in for picture, director,
For
actress.
nominations, yeah.
Nominations, not wins. I think Ruffalo is locked in for supporting actor. I think Defoe is questionable because as of right now, the Golden Globes were 6 nominations. Same with the Critics' Choice Awards, and Defoe has been sliding his way in, but I think he's going to be like the 6th one for the Oscars, so he'll, I think, get bumped out. And then I would not be surprised, and I'm going to warn all my Oppenheimer stands right now, this could clean up like the tech categories when it comes to like production design, costume design, sound design, score. I think this is going to give Oppenheimer a run for its money in a lot of the tech categories. So a lot of people are saying Oppenheimer, best case scenario, could be this year's Mad Max Fury Road or this year's 1917. I wouldn't be surprised if between the tech categories we see even like a nice little 3-way split between Poor Things, Oppenheimer, and Flower Moon.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things were all adapted screenplays. They're all based off books, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a really contentious category. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
But you gave it a 4-star, right? I'm gonna text Beth and say
I gave
we're
it a
back.
4-star. Again, it's one of those that like I'm just looking at my 2022 ranked list right now. It's one of those movies that I'd love to rewatch. Like I'd love to rewatch The Holdovers one more time before I like officially set my ranking for the year. I'd love to rewatch Poor Things before I officially set my ranking of the year. If I can get to a theater and watch Godzilla once more, there's a lot. Basically, I'm saying my top 10 outside of like my top 2 are so interchangeable that like I'd like to rewatch all of them, because if I rewatched all 10 movies in my top 10, my ranking could look completely different. So
Right.
I'd like to do that in the next like week before I like officially drop my top 10. Well, I'm going to do top 20 actually, my top 20 movies of 2023.
Yeah, for sure. Seth, welcome back.
Hello, how are we all?
Dude, good.
Doing good.
Sorry that lasted a little long.
Good. So, Poor Things, I will obviously be seeing it next month. I'll go over my thoughts then. Sadly enough, I'm going to wait. Very, very sad. What did you guys give it? Actually, I didn't even ask.
Both
4 stars,
4s.
both of us.
Yep.
Interesting.
And Cam gave it a 3.5, by the way, for people who aren't. He did review it. He did see it when he was on his trip, but he has like a water heater issue he's dealing with right now. But he gave it a 3.5.
Okay, interesting. I think we'll move on to Chicken Run Dill and Nugget next, just because we'll have the least to speak about on it, realistically.
Yeah.
So I'll run through the synopsis as well, because you kind of may as well, but it's a Chicken Run movie, is what it is. I really like the first Chicken Run, to be fair, but a band of fearless chickens flock together to save poultry kind from an unsettling new threat, a nearby farm that's cooking up something suspicious. Obviously directed by Sam Fell, obviously Aardman Studios. I believe Sam Fell has only done like Flushed Away, I think, and maybe something else. I can't really remember, but I know he didn't do the first Chicken Run, or maybe he was involved. I can't remember, but yeah. George, if you go over we don't really have to go into spoilers. I don't really care enough.
0 spoilers for this movie.
Just go into your thoughts either way.
Yeah, I did my Chicken Run double feature. I had like the same thoughts that Tyler said earlier in the episode, where like I keep saying I've never seen Chicken Run, but like while I was watching the movie, I was like, some of these like beats feel like familiar. So yeah. I'm sure in passing as a child I had seen Chicken Run, but officially, I guess I watched it for the first time when Dawn of the Nugget came out, and I did a little double feature. I liked Chicken Run. I did. I thought it was cool. I think the one thing missing from Dawn of the Nugget, and I said this in my Letterboxd review, it lacked like that scary aspect that Chicken Run had. Chicken Run, the first one, it felt so like dirty. It felt so like, it didn't feel like a clean movie. Obviously, the stop motion and the fact that they're in like a muddy chicken coop just made for a very like dirty environment. But I think that worked very well to like this movie being frightening. Like I said in my Letterboxd review, this is a movie that could have like scarred me for life if I had seen it as like a 7-year-old. And Dawn of the Nugget just felt too calculated. It felt too like it felt way too clean, and I think that's the charm of the original Chicken Run. That I think Dawn of the Nugget lacked. But yeah, I didn't think it was a bad movie at all. I think I gave it a 2.5 stars. I think it's just right down the middle. I think Chicken Nugget was just a really just normal chicken nugget. Jesus Christ. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. It was just very like they tried to like reduce, reuse, recycle from the original Chicken Run, but they ended up like it felt too convoluted for its own good. Like they tried to add too many story beats. They tried to add too much like I don't know. It felt like a Home Alone on steroids where like they really tried to like just up like the chickens being, what's the word? Just fighting back. They tried to up the ante too much. And I just don't think that played well for this movie, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought the first one was great. I had a really good time with the first one. Like I said, I think the stop motion on both of them are just fantastic. I think the animation on Dawn of the Nuggets is really special. I think it's something to be praised. But just story-wise, I didn't find myself caring. I think it didn't help me that I watched both of them back to back because the voice acting was so noticeably different, and it kind of like removed me because I really liked the voice acting in the original Chicken Run. I thought just everyone was just really, really solid from who was in it? Julia Sohali, Mel Gibson, Imelda Staunton. I didn't care for Zachary Levi. I mean, even voice acting, this man just has no chemistry with anyone, and it was just like so obvious, which sucks because I really liked that character in the original Chicken Run. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on both Chicken Runs. Really liked the first one. I thought it was great. Pretty, slightly above average. Way more political than I had expected it to be. Second one tries to up the ante a little too much, and at times I think that's to its fault. And I think it's also just, and again, tell me if it's a stupid critique, but I just think it's too clean of a movie for a Chicken Run movie.
Yeah, I think that where the first Chicken Run excels is that it is like dirty, like you said. It's a social and political commentary, which is backed up by this really aesthetically appealing animation, whilst also being dirty and grimy, and where something you can actually feel the stakes in the chicken's pursuit of freedom. And I think that the issue with the new one is it kind of becomes too familiar. It's a plot we've seen many times again. B doesn't really raise the stakes to a point of the first one where you actually kind of feel it in any way or feel any sort of sense of emotion for them. C, the voice acting doesn't work as well. I don't think the switch of a few of the voice actors worked quite as seamlessly as they were expecting, especially with Rocky. Mel Gibson was far better as far as I'm concerned than Zachary Levi, who
so much better
did kind of struggle which is his voice acting as well, just kind of struggle to stray away from just being himself and actually have any form of chemistry with the other voice actors. I just found it too familiar. Like, I get what you mean. It is kind of clean in a way that doesn't feel like the first one. It doesn't feel like this dark commentary. It just feels like a familiar family story. Kid off on his own, save him, fight them back, whatever, and just kind of the same thing over and over again that we've seen to keep that we've seen so many times. And it didn't really hold the charm of the original. Don't get me wrong, there was some good moments. I definitely liked this film. Well, over 3 stars, I thought it was above average. I like some of the characters. I think they're cool. I like some of the ones that stayed. Some of the voices, like Mel Staunton a lot. And I think that it has this unique charm just because I like the Aardman films. I love Wallace and Gromit. Have you not seen Wallace and Gromit?
I don't think so.
Curse of the Were-Rabbit's.
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation on the podcast.
Curse of the Were-Rabbit's fantastic. It's better than Chicken Run. It's really, really good.
Well, let me toss on my watch list.
No, it's actually really, really good. And I do like the Aardman stop motion designs. I'm quite familiar with them. It's kind of what a lot of like British kids grow up watching them. They're it's a very much British company, and especially Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run, and huge ingrained in British childhood culture. But it didn't kind of remain on the charm. And I haven't actually watched Chicken Run in probably over a year now, but I've always enjoyed it, and I've always felt it had so much more to offer. Whereas this one, like you said, was just kind of run of the mill, too familiar, predictable. Remaining some of the funny moments, remaining some of the cool characters. I'd compare this to like a Knives Out. I'd compare Chicken Run Dawn and the Nugget, or as George would call it, Chicken Nugget. I'd compare it to like a Glass Onion versus Knives Out. So where it's like bigger doesn't always equal better. They try to, put a bigger plan in place, make it too calculated, like George said, to the point where it's just like, doesn't really have the same impact now. But again, I still had an okay time with it. It's pretty, easy, inoffensive watch. So probably most people have a decent time with. I give it a 3 out of 5, so just above average. But definitely a big step down. So I think I give the first one a 4. I do like the first one a lot. But yeah, decent, not great by any means. Too familiar, too safe. And bigger doesn't always equal better, as we've seen, time and time again. Tyler, did you watch the first Chicken Run? Do you want to give your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I watched the first one. Yeah, like George said, a lot more political than I expected, which I always appreciate. Like we saw Pinocchio last year, where it's films that they're kids films, put in quote, they're animated movies catered towards kids, but and most, like, a lot of Pixar films obviously have deeper meanings too, but like Chicken Run and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio are like so fiercely political that it's enjoyable when you can kind of get that deeper meaning in a movie. I just didn't find myself super locked into it. Stop motion's always impressive to me, but from an entertainment perspective, didn't love it, but I didn't grow up with it like you did. And I know I'm also lower on it than like pretty much everyone. So I gave it a 2.5.
I saw the comments on your Letterboxd review. You had the British kids in there.
Yeah, that disappointed in me for giving it a 2.5, but it's what it is. It sounds like Dawn of the Nugget's not the greatest. I didn't know Zachary Levi's in it. That just really
he's the main guy who Mel Gibson plays in the first one.
That's real tough and disappointing to hear, to be honest. But I'm gonna watch it. Like, probably honestly, by the time this uploads, I'll probably have my review up there. So plug my Letterboxd.
If you gave the first one a 2.5, that could honestly be like a 1 for you.
Oh man, well,
it's a step down. It's a big step down. Have you seen Mad God, Tyler?
No, but I need to, like, because that's like the peak of stop motion claymation, right?
No, Wallace and Gromit is. Let's calm down. Technically, Wallace and Gromit was one of the first, but yeah, Mad God is like
peak,
just obscene. Mm-hmm. It's like perfect in its own way. It's really weird. I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Chicken Run's one of those that like I don't, like I said during what we've been watching, I think I saw it as a kid, but don't remember. Wallace and Gromit I absolutely remember seeing as a kid, and I did like those. I'd be interested to revisit those because there's multiple, right? Or is there just the one?
Well, so was there
ever a TV show?
Yeah. So
okay, that's what I remember watching a ton of.
There's like there's 40-minute like films as well. It's 30-minute short films. And obviously there's the main film, which is Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which I love. It's a great film. But yeah, I think they're just ingrained in British culture. Like, everyone kind of grows up with Wallace and Gromit and stuff like that. I really like them. Just Aardman films in general. I think that's why Coraline is such a big one over here as well, just purely because of the design and stuff, and like paranormal and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll move on. So I give it a 3. George gave it a 2.5.
Yep.
And then I gave the first one a 4. George gave it 3.5. Ty gave it 2.5 because he doesn't know cinema. We'll continue. So
I think Cam watched both too. I'm gonna try to pull
I think Cam likes the first. I don't know what he thought. Oh, he gave the second one a 3. I think he gave the same as me.
Yeah, he gave it a 3.
Yeah, that's a tough thing because Cam had to miss this episode on a last minute thing, and like this is one of the weeks where he like watched everything. Like he watched Poor Things. He even saw the Iron Claw early. Like, or wait, no, he didn't because he had a work meeting that canceled it because he was in because the Iron Claw takes place like in Dallas, so like there's very few places you can see it right now. But he's like in the area where like it's set, so like they had early screenings. He's like, hell yeah, I'm on a trip here, perfect timing. I'm gonna go see it. And then like he texts us like 2 hours later, like, and they just scheduled a work dinner, so I had to cancel my screen. I'm like, damn, that sucks.
And on top of that, not to mention has he seen everything, but he also like we'll go on to Wonka, which obviously people have seen. He really liked that, but he also really likes the first Chicken Run. So like he's like me, so it would have been here to hear his thoughts on the second one. But yeah, we'll move on, obviously, to Wonka, like I said. Let me get up the synopsis.
All the boys are wonking.
I swear, bro, that's the most overused.
I've never been.
I never heard anyone say it before I said it, so I never heard wonking and wonk out.
But like in the last like week, every other tweet I see is I've been wanked off or I've been wonked off.
I'm claiming it's mine.
Keep it PG. Right, let me get the fucking. Okay,
But
here we
yes, we have all been wonked off.
We've been wonked off hard. Willy Wonka, chock full of ideas and determined to change the world. One delectable bite at a time. Jesus, I can't speak then. It's proof that the best things in life begin with a dream, and if you're lucky enough to meet Willy Wonka, anything is possible. So obviously this is a Wonka origin story, before his factory and all that good stuff, played by Timothée Chalamet. One of my most anticipated films of the year. I've been wonking for a while, so has Tyler. We've been on the wonk train.
I've been wonk out. I'll be honest. I was wonk out for a long time.
You were wonk out, and now you're wonk in. So
now I'm wonk in. Yeah.
This is going to keep going for ages, isn't it? That's ridiculous. So obviously start off, give you spoiler-free thoughts, stuff like that. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Just give us your spoiler-free thoughts, and then we'll kind of move on from there.
Yeah, well, first there's a funny thing that popped up on Twitter yesterday was that their studios are starting to not market musicals as musicals because audiences don't like musicals.
Yeah.
But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory were musicals, especially the first one. But even the Tim Burton's,
would you count the first one as a musical?
I would count the first one.
The
second one I wouldn't call a musical, but there's plenty of musical numbers.
The reason is it's hard to, because I think a musical is where the songs move the narrative forward, whereas in Willy Wonka it's a bit weird half the time because they're structural. I don't know what kind of counts as a musical. I guess it is.
I think because the first one with the chocolate shop scene where the guy's trying to sell the chocolate.
Yeah,
I feel
I love that scene.
I feel like that one's more musical, but still, it's you should have known there's gonna be musical numbers in this. And same thing.
I mean, obviously it's a fucking Willy Wonka film,
right?
You've seen the other two. There's so many songs.
Crazy. But Timothée Chalamet was so great in this, and I know Seth, you touched on it, and everyone has touched on it that you can't compare him to Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp. I think you can compare Johnny Depp and Gene Wilder because they're playing the same version of Wonka, the same part in their career. Whereas this is an origin story. So he's not even the same guy at this point. He's 20 years or so earlier. So this is just a completely different thing. It's him. It's figuring out how Willy Wonka went from being an orphan to opening his first chocolate shop and the struggles and how he gets there. And I mean, this movie is just such a treat, such a delight. The visuals are so beautiful. I wish there was a little more practical because there's some moments where the CGI looked a little wonky, but still the set design that was
looked a little what?
A little wonky. Yeah, good one. But I wish there was a little more practical design, but still overall it was such a treat to watch. The cast was so great. I know, Seth, you're going to talk about that a lot more too, because they're all people you grew up loving. So I'll kind of say that for you. But everyone in this, from the minor supporting to Timothée Chalamet himself, was great. Musical numbers, awesome. Especially, I forget, the Scrub song, iconic. The song he does with, what's her name? I'm forgetting her character's name.
Noodle.
Noodle, yeah.
Noodle.
The kind of duet
that was my favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
Really? That's interesting.
Dude, that song almost got a tear out of me. That song almost got it was so emotional, they're trying to figure out what rhymes with noodle, and then
I like that one. People didn't like that one. That's
I really like that one.
It was just two best friends, or two random people becoming best friends. It was just so cute.
I think it took me a little bit to buy into the movie because obviously from the trailer, I was in from the second I saw the trailer, but there were still some reservations I had. But I was still going to be publicly I'm super in on this because I want to be Team Wonka because I had faith in Paul King and Timothée Chalamet, because I think it's crazy to not have faith in Timothée Chalamet and Paul King. It's just so funny to me seeing so many people with their reviews being I thought this was going to suck, but I loved it. I'm when has Timothée Chalamet ever showed up and delivered a bad performance? And anyone who's seen Paddington, why would you expect Paul King to just all of a sudden just not make a magical kids movie?
I haven't seen Paddington. I was still in.
Oh, you should see Paddington.
You got to see Paddington.
Oh, after this, I got so many comments you should see Paddington. I'm yeah, I absolutely should. If I love this, then surely Paddington 2, especially. Yeah, Paddington 2 has crazy high reviews as well.
Paddington 2 goes crazy.
Yeah,
but this movie was so fun. It took me a while to buy in. Like I said, from the opening scene, I was okay, this is we'll see where this goes. And then by the time the second act comes, I was super in. And then the third act I truly thought was perfect for what this movie was trying to do. Everything about the third act I loved, all the way up to the very end conclusion of the movie. Just everything was just phenomenal. This movie was so fun. I love the musical numbers. I love Timothée Chalamet, all the supporting cast, like I said. And this is just what I was hoping it to be. I was hoping it to be magical. Seth, I know you mentioned this in your Letterboxd review as well. It's so awesome that kids are going to be able to grow up with this movie. I don't know if you guys saw the behind the scenes of like a screening that Timothy Chalamet and the Wonka.
Yeah,
It was
I
just
did,
him, I
yeah.
think, held for like a bunch of kids, and like that was just so fun to see, like how into it the kids were, and how Timothy Chalamet was just the perfect version of Wonka. Whereas like a kid screening hosted by Johnny Depp might be like very different. So Timothy Chalamet, huge thumbs up. The hat, like I'm just looking at the letterbox right now. I wanted to take a bite of it the whole movie. It just looked like it was chocolate the whole time. His top hat. I was like, man, that just looks so delectable. But it, just such a fun movie, man. And I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts.
Okay, cool. What did you give it? You didn't say that.
I give it a 3.5. So not like the highest in the world on it, because like it's not, I don't know, like it's not like a Poor Things for me, which is like a 4, but it's still very good. Like I think we're just in a world with the letterbox culture where, George, I know you touched on this like a month or two ago with Boy and the Heron, where it's like you drop a 3.5, we're like, oh wow, major disappointment, I guess. I'm like, no, like very fun, very like movie that I had a great time with. So yeah, 3.5 is what I ended up giving it.
Nice. George, spoiler 3 thoughts?
Pretty much everything Tyler said. This movie was just a warm hug and just a bundle of fucking joy. 2 hours of just smiling from ear to ear. Like Tyler said, I think the musical numbers, I think they were just infectious. I just had such a good time with everything going on screen at all parts. Everything from Timothy Chalamet to Hugh Grant, who played a smaller supporting role. I think everyone was just so lovable.
Smaller role.
I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, I'm good like that. Like just for 2 hours, everything that was going on screen, I was just entranced by. I just had such a good time with everything. It just was such just a massive just stretch of entertainment. I think Timmy is just so lovable as this role. I had slight doubts. I know, which is stupid because of how much I love Timmy and just how good he's been over the last like couple of years, but this is like a very different role than what he's played. It's definitely more like out there, more charismatic. So I was very curious to see how he would pull it off. And I think as a predecessor to Gene Wilder's Wonka, I think this version just makes so much sense. And after having seen the movie, I think Timmy was just the best possible choice. I know a lot of people were fan casting Jeremy Allen White because he looks like Gene Wilder.
It's the appearance, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's more than so in the appearance. Like, I don't know if I could see Jeremy Allen White doing the things Timmy did in this movie.
He doesn't look innocent enough to play a young Willy Wonka, Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't picture him being a good singer either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I couldn't picture Timmy being a good singer either.
That's fair.
But I know, obviously, he went to like a performing arts school, so I guess that just... I'm sure he had singing classes every so often. But yeah, 2 hours of just such a good fucking time. I think the production design was just so vibrant and colorful, and it was just made for such a fun and inventive experience. The costume design, everyone seemed to just commit to this movie, which I absolutely loved. I said in my TikTok review, everyone that was a part of the cast and that was a part of this production just seemed to have a genuinely good time being there. Like, this movie didn't seem like a chore for anyone to make. It genuinely seemed like they wanted to like commit to this Wonka prequel. And that's exactly what they pretty much did. I'm hoping to rewatch it again this week. I know Victoria wants to go see it, so I'm gonna go with her, hopefully. But yeah, it was a 4 out of 5 for me. It's just outside my top 10 of the year. Just one of those experiences where, like, yeah, like Tyler said, maybe this isn't on the level of Poor Things, but at the end of the day, it's just what a movie can make me feel. And this movie just had me smiling. This movie just had me giddy the entire time. I just had such a blast with everything going on screen. Just seeing Willie just continue being like this hopeful chocolatier throughout all this shit that he's enduring throughout the movie was just so heartfelt. Like I said, my favorite song was the one with Willy Wonka and Noodle. I think their relationship was just such a strong part of this movie. I think everyone, that entire group of 5 characters that was in like the hotel, like that they were like forced to work, that entire group was just, I loved their back and forth. I loved their relationships with one another. I loved how they just supported each other and they just committed to Willie's Chocolate Factory together. Keegan-Michael Key was hilarious. I don't think this is going into like too much spoilers already, but I love that he just got so fat within like a week.
So
like
funny.
that
He
made
was
me
really funny. He was
yeah,
really
I thought that was fucking hysterical because, like, for the most part, this whole movie is very obviously unrealistic, and like I think that was just like the most over the top unrealistic thing they could have done, which is just hysterical. Like in the span of 2 days, he gained
Yeah.
like 300 pounds.
It was very funny.
He goes at one point, "Oh, my car shrunk," and the other guy's like, "Yeah, that's it." But yeah, no, 4 out of 5 for me. I loved it. I had such a good time with it. Just that really happy experience.
Nice. Yeah, same for me. I mean, I love this film. I think it's no secret how much I love, the original. I actually watched it recently, bumped up to a 5. I just adore the original. I think it's just a childhood favorite of mine, no doubt. I think this is just everything that we needed from a Willy Wonka origin story. We're soaking in the charm, the weirdness, the peculiarity of it, whilst also understanding and seeing Timothée Chalamet portraying Wonka in a new light, where he's, a more naive, childish, and kind of open to the world, and kind of knows no boundaries, and just has a kind of dream. And I think that's the perfect way we want it to be. Before, obviously, Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka erupts into this kind of like sarcastic, witty man. It really is this more innocent approach, which is why I think the comparisons between the two are kind of just invalid at this point. And even in general, the comparisons between him and Johnny Depp a bit easier to make, but it's a completely different Wonka. It's not as staged. I got a lot of comments on my TikTok review saying, that he wasn't as good. Well, the thing is, it's not the same take. It's completely different. This is many years before. This is before he's had his success. This is just a kid, a naive kid, a hurt kid with kind of a dream to go forward by. It's like ridiculous. It's strange. I think everyone, I said this in my review, everyone is using it to describe this film as they did with the original, but it's whimsical. It's exactly what it is. It kind of is one of those films that maybe have a smile on my face from start to finish. Loves the musical notes. Think they're fantastic. Just a bundle of joy, as George said. My favorite, obviously, being "Come With Me" and "You'll See in the World of Your Imagination." That makes me cry every time. It's crazy. I think that this film is like, obviously, it's not going to have the same impact with YouTube, but it's so English. So, in terms of the cast, right, just to give you like a little bit of thing. So, okay, so for example, the main 3 villains, you got Slugworth and I can't remember the other 2 guys, whatever.
Yeah, the other 2.
So Slugworth
Hilarious.
is one of the characters in my favorite show ever, Peep Show. What I told you about all the time. It's my favorite sitcom ever, my favorite show ever. By that means, he's one of the characters in that. The guy next to him, the one with the long hair, is called Matthew Boynton. He's the main guy in my favorite ever kids show. Like ever like Cartoon Network, CBC, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite kids show. He's the main guy in that. And the guy next to him, called Matt Lucas, who I really like as well, was one of my favorite characters in a English comedy coming up. That's just how much this had over me. Do you know what I mean?
And Matt Lucas was a Great British Baking Show host for like six years. That's what I know him from. Yeah, he just stepped away last year.
I love Matt Lucas. I think he's like a British icon. And there was so many, honestly, like every minute I'd see a character from Peep Show, a character from Horrible Histories, that's the show I'm talking about, or like English sitcoms, or I'm not going to name names. There was a couple, for example, Sex Education, I'm sure the Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
One of the characters, I can't remember her name, in the basement, in the working place of the hotel or whatever, the woman, she's obviously one of the teachers in Sex Education. And I'm just seeing all these like familiar faces to me growing up, and it just makes you kind of so happy to see them all in this environment. I just think it worked just wonderfully well. It was fun. It was over the top, maybe too kind of flamboyant, and appearing to be too kind of earnest and sincere for some. Like I mentioned in my review, which I kind of get, because it's not going to be for everyone in terms of its take. But from what I know, I mean, I haven't seen Paddington. They should have always been expected that the style would be like this in a way, because it's very much in tune with his usual.
It felt
work.
very much like a Paul King.
Yeah,
movie.
so like
it had very familiar beats.
I don't know
Obviously, very much more, like you said, flamboyant, and very much more like out there than the Paddington movies. But you could still tell it's got that Paul King charm to it.
Yeah, I don't really know what people expect when it comes to him making a film. Olivia Colman, I love seeing her play like a villainous character as well.
Dude, I shit you not, didn't realize it was her for like a half hour.
What?
Something with her teeth looked different in this movie. Like, I don't know if she had like a veneer like in or something.
She had to have been wearing like full prosthetic on her entire face, or like
there was something about her that looked a little different to me. I agree with that.
For like a half hour, I was like, this person fucking sounds so familiar, but doesn't look familiar. I was like, who the fuck is this? And then my theater was empty, so I pulled out my phone and I was like, no fucking way is this Olivia
Really?
Colman.
Jesus, man.
There had to have been some like very light, like on her nose or on her cheek, to make her look more of like that. Yeah, like that, Oliver Twist era type person, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. So Olivia Colman, obviously, I love. She's from Peep Show as well. She was fantastic. Loved seeing her kind of play like this villainous, mischievous, and horrible kind of dictator-like role. Tom Davis as well, who's obviously the guy who's with her, who like captures the people. I thought he was so funny. I really, really love him. He's kind of an icon in British TV as well. Rowan Atkinson, who's obviously Mr. Bean, he was in it. He was obviously the priest guy where he gets chased by the giraffe. I thought that was fucking hilarious. I love that. It is weird how they marketed this film though, because I had no idea going in that, obviously they mark it by names. So Hugh Grant really just doesn't have that much of a role. It doesn't really come into like, the first hour, until after the first hour. He's back and forth. And I didn't realize that Patterson Joseph, that's his name, Peep Show, was the main villain because it wasn't marketed that way at all. I thought Rowan Atkinson would have more of a part, but again, it's just like, they're marketing it around the names, which I completely understand.
Timmy and Willy Wonka are enough marketing.
It's kind of like,
but I get what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of other star power here that like it would have tapped into, I'm sure, a different audience that may not have gone to see Willy Wonka in the first place. But
I don't know if it's that. It's just like, I think I just went into it thinking that more characters would have more screen time and some actors would have less screen time. Do you know what I mean? Just because they have to put the faces on like Hugh Grant and stuff like that because he's going to be more known. But yeah, just really loved it. I really liked what was her name? Something Lane.
Calla Lane. Calla
Lane, yeah. Really liked her as well. Noodle. Thought she was brilliant. Yeah, and like George said, Keegan Michael Kay. Yeah. So funny. Really, really loved his character. Didn't realize he had such a big role as well. Really enjoyed that. This is one I think I'm going to go and try and see next week because I really want Anna to watch it. And she'll really like it. It's one of those, if you like, especially the original Willy Wonka, I can't imagine you not liking this. And me and Anna obviously love that film. So very excited to watch it with her. But yeah, I give it a 4.5. I just absolutely adored it. So much fun. And yeah, is there anywhere we want to take it from here? Anything we want to go over?
Yeah, I have a couple more things. I think it will honestly go up to like a 4 on rewatch at least for me. Because even talking about it now, I think I already want to bump it up to a 4. But I texted you guys in the group chat yesterday. I was like, I wish this came. Like, I wish and don't wish because at the same time I want to see movies obviously thrive at the box office. But like since I've seen it in the movie theater, I'm like, like I'd love this to come out on digital because this movie's so Christmas coded. Like it's not a Christmas film, but you get the snow, you get the warm fuzzy feelings. Like I would love to watch this again.
I always count like Willy Wonka as a Christmas film, even though it's not directly related. It's just because of the winter feel, the snow, so it kind of has that feel. I watch it every Christmas, the original. So then this will be a crazy double feature. Like this first, the origin story, then seeing the different take on him with Willy Wonka the second. That's like a perfect double feature. So yeah, I know what you mean, definitely.
Yeah, because where I think like this shines is because Willy Wonka in this movie isn't quite the cynical, views. He doesn't realize how corrupt the world is quite yet at this point. He's a lot more innocent, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that Paul King does well to balance that is in the other Wonka films, obviously most of the film just takes place in his chocolate shop. So the cynicism and the negativity of the world comes from his character, the Wonka character. Whereas in this film, you get a lot more of the outside world, which that's where the cynicism comes in. That's where the greed, that's where this movie still has a lot of that, where you see the world is not quite this beautiful place. But instead of Wonka's character showing us that, we see the greedy chocolate cartel that are trying to shut him down. We see the corrupt police. We see the corrupt priests in the religion. So I think it was just very well balanced to be able to, like, Willy Wonka at this point is very happy-go-lucky, very innocent, very wanting to succeed on his own 2 feet. But at the same time, the entire world on the outside has given us that, that level of cynicism we're used to in all the Wonka films. So I think it was just balanced really well. And
absolutely,
I mean, like there's moments where you're genuinely tear jerkers. Like Wonka's story, like he's so happy in this, but it's genuinely tragic. Like what he's like trying to do the whole time, what his like main goal, like the whole reason he wants to open a chocolate shop is like, and when he finally kind of realizes that once he opens it up and that it's not everything he thought it was going to be for obvious reasons, like you're like, damn, this is like really devastatingly emotional. The fact that like this is his whole mission because of this one thing he set out to do. And when it happens, I mean, we all knew the entire movie. We're like, we know nothing's going to change when he opens a chocolate shop. Like what he's hoping that'll happen is impossible.
He got that show quick as well. Crazy. Did you see that design?
Yeah, dude, the
Like,
turnaround
out of
time.
nowhere, like crazy. Like,
But no, I'm really. I thought that they were gonna pull like a very classic, like heartfelt ending, and like actually have Willy Wonka's mom like appear, like like I know she like appears, but
yeah.
like I really thought they were gonna like genuinely make her like come back, like oh somehow she heard of this Wonka shop and she's there, but obviously I think it's implied that she is no longer with us. But I'm really happy that they went the route of just like. And I kind of wish they did this with Noodle, where like Wonka kind of found his new family. He found his Oompa Loompa. He found his Noodle. He found his entire gang of bandits, I guess, whatever you want to call them, to open this Wonka shop with. And
It's
I think
crazy calling them bandits.
I don't know what to call them. Whatever,
Like,
just
I don't know what to call them either. To be fair, what even are they at this stage? Like,
the Fellowship.
I mean, they're like yeah. The fellowship slaves or something.
The indentured servants.
Yeah, something that's not disrespectful to workers in laundry shops, I guess. I don't know. But no, I'm happy that they went the route with like Wonka kind of found a new family, and like his mother's legacy is still there in his chocolate, but I'm glad that they didn't go the route of like a typical like maybe like Disney-esque ending where like she appears.
Yeah, that was always a case where it would have been really weird to do that. I think it was nice having the little shot of obviously her appearing, him like, not achieving his goal, but like reconnecting in a way through his love for kind of his dream.
Excuse me.
And again, like Tyler said, it's just having that naive approach and that childlike approach of just wanting to, reconnect with his mom. I think it's a really, really nice film. And it's definitely really heartful as well. And it comes across. And I think, well, from what I've gathered, I think that's what Paul King excels in, is having these really emotionally climactic endings that really work with the rest of the film and kind of make everything come together. I think that's kind of what I've gathered from from the Paul King crowd, because that man has a cult following. It's crazy. Do you know what's weird? Paul King, right? I hear more of Paul King of Paddington's name in terms of the films from Americans. Not sure why. Like, I hear it all the time on TikTok.
It's like a beloved movie around here.
I didn't realize. I thought it was like a meme at first when I first heard how people would say how good it was. So I hadn't even seen the first one. One thing I did want to ask you both, because I was good. Well, obviously George kind of mentioned his number one. I was going to actually. I got it written down anyway. If you had to say your top 3 songs from Wonka, what would they be?
Oh man, God, I have to look.
Do you want me to give mine first?
Yeah,
I don't. The thing is, I don't know the names. Hold on, let me pull up the.
I've got the names. I'll give mine first.
Yeah,
so,
you go for it, Seth.
My number 3 is "You've Never Had Chocolate Like This." That one's mine. I got 12 songs. Yeah, that's mine. My number 2 is "Sweet Tooth," where it's like the 3 of them surrounding Keegan-Michael Kay. In the downstairs of the church. I fucking love that one when they like just continue to trying to bribe him and they end up getting like 7,000 boxes of chocolates. I love that one. And obviously my number 1 is Pure Imagination, because that is a hard one. Like, imagine trying to be as good as Gene Wilder doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a hard one to accomplish. And I thought it was timed really well.
I was gonna say the timing of it was so perfect.
Timing was so perfect. That's exactly what I mean with Paul King. That's why I want to watch Paddington movies. The timing on that, when he's with Hugh Grant's character, is just perfection. So that's definitely my top 3.
All right.
You have yours, George?
I think I have mine.
Let's hear it.
All right. I think at number 3. Oh, fuck me. I got my top 2. My number 3, now that I'm just looking through the track list, there's so many like good ones.
Yeah, I'm missing Scrub, and I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I think my number 3 is "You've Never Had Chocolate Like This."
Yeah, bang.
I think that was just such a fun little number to like really introduce Wonka and introduce like just this movie. Number 2, I just think for its level of iconic, I think I have to put Pure Imagination.
Yeah.
And then, my number 1 is "For a Moment," the Noodle Wonka song.
Yeah, I think for me it would be Pure Imagination, just purely because of the timing is probably my favorite. But in terms of just pure songs, "For a Moment's got to be up there. So if I'm going to do top 3, I don't know in order, but Pure Imagination, "For a Moment." Yeah, "You Never Had Chocolate Like This" is just such a banger, isn't it?
That is a banger.
There are a couple bangers.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Those are my top 3, but Scrub, like shout out Scrub.
Yeah, Scrub bangs.
What did you guys think of So I had a conversation with a few people recently about this. What did you think of the first song? Because that seems to be the most like polarizing in terms of what people thought. The one, it's a hat full of dreams, where he's kind of walking through and he's just entered the town. He's like walking through and doing stuff. Because I actually liked it. I liked it, honestly. I thought it was good, but a lot of people said that's kind of where they, weren't as high on it. Or whatever.
I can see why it'd be polarizing because it's like the first one, and like already from the trailer, some people were uneasy going into this, and then immediately you get Paul King's whimsical cinematography and the visual effects, and you're like, okay, like, and you're joining this world, and then the song hits. So I feel like it's just at this point people are very not settled in yet to the movie. Yeah. I can see why it would be a little polarizing. But if you listen to it like on a soundtrack on shuffle, then maybe you could be like, people might like it a lot more. I think that the timing might have been what threw that one off. But there's, like I said in my review, like there's the songs range from like average to really good, and then there's a couple great. But I would say there's not a single song where I was like, skip, like,
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like there's not. Usually when I watch a musical, there's like a few songs I'm like, I wasn't really feeling this one, right. But I at least thought every one of them was like okay. And I think that kind of comes back to what George's point earlier, that every cast member was really on it. As much as Hugh Grant apparently hated it, which I'm not surprised by.
Yeah, everyone kept commenting on my TikTok that. What is that like news?
No. He said he just hated filming it because he had to wear the what's it called? Motion.
Yeah.
But he also said he hated filming Love Actually in the dance scenes. Isn't it just like British humor for him to just like hate everything he's been in? But
it is kind of so. Hugh Grant's an interesting character because I think it doesn't translate to across the pond that well sometimes, because people get really annoyed by and say like he's so rude and stuff like that. He's actually not. It's just the British sarcasm that kind of comes out of him. Like he's very English.
But you guys are mad rude.
Yeah, mad rude. I do think though that it's not surprising that he hated filming this. I bet that is a bit weird, just having that on for like ages and just being so uncomfortable in this thing.
Yeah, I feel part of it might be a sarcasm, just simply because like when you sign on to this movie, you got to know that's what you're in for.
Did you guys see that they did a press junket and Timothée Chalamet was saying like introduced himself as Wonka and then in French, and then Hugh Grant did it as an Oompa Loompa in French? Did you see that?
No.
It's the funniest thing because Willy Wonka's like, yes, and he's like really, enthusiastic, and then Hugh Grant's like Oompa Loompa, and he's just like the most. I just saw so many tweets that I've never seen anyone want to do anything less than Hugh Grant speaking in French, and it's so fucking funny.
It's like when you literally sign on to be an Oompa Loompa, though, like you got to be expecting this.
Yeah, I thought the Oompa Loompa design was really funny. I actually really, really liked it.
Way smaller than I had expected.
Well, he is small though, isn't he? He's
that's so funny.
Yeah,
the whole movie, he's like, I'm actually tall for an Oompa Loompa, and then he's like, actually, I'm short, and they make fun of me all the time. And they kind of all.
What did they say? Yeah, they said they called him something shorty or something.
Short. I can't remember because there's that scene where obviously it flashes back to the island and he's with them. He's being kicked out. They're like a lot bigger than him. Like he's a small Oompa Loompa. And if you're small for an Oompa Loompa, you're fucking small. Like that's the thing. I mean, you're crazy.
Yeah, he was literally
small.
fitting inside of chocolate jars.
Yeah.
I was shocked by the because before I even saw Wonka, there's so many like critic reviews that I saw. I get a lot of traction that they're like, this movie would have been so good if it wasn't for like the disgusting, revolting fat jokes in it. And as a member of the fat society, I was expecting a lot worse. And I feel like we're in a society where people get upset like when it's not even something like making fun of them. So like I feel like if you're gonna say the fat jokes upset you, completely fine, but post a pic of the scale. Like I have to know, you got to be a true, like you can't be like 150 and say the fat jokes are offensive.
Like, don't give a number to this.
Yeah, you got show me the scale. You can't be 150 pounds and say the fat jokes offended you.
I don't get this, man, because it's like, don't get me wrong, if you're offended, whatever, that's fine. But I see zero malice in the joke, like whatsoever. Like I see. It was just the fact that he was eating chocolate. Like
right, no one like made fun of him. It was just
if you eat that much chocolate, you're gonna gain weight, and that's the whole point, that he just addicted to the chocolate because he loved it so much. So
he ate like 800 boxes in a day. Like,
what is gonna happen if you eat 100 boxes in a day? Like, you're probably gonna end up like that. So it's just like I don't see any distaste in the joke at all, because usually, when people say that, okay, Tyler, next goal wins, perfect example. I fully understand that. Like, especially from a trans perspective, if you are trans, I think that was like really, really poor taste. But this one, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, there's no malice. It's just there's not even taking a piss out of people who are overweight. It's just
it plays into the he's eating a lot of chocolate. Just
plays into this is how good the chocolate.
Yeah, like it's not like there was just random like.
I'm not being funny. Okay. It's literally science. I'm not being funny. Like, don't get me wrong, it probably wouldn't be that quick. But if you eat that many boxes, this guy was finishing them off like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He was eating like hundreds. You're probably gonna get quite overweight. Do you know what I mean?
And thematically, it like works. They didn't just throw it in. Like clearly, it's trying to show like the more money that the politicians were throwing at him, he was just getting completely overstuffed with corruption. Like it's not like they're just like, look, fat guy. Like it worked symbolically for the film too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't get that at all. I didn't get that at all.
Seth, that was jokes. It's literally science.
It literally is science. Like it's literally body dynamics. If you eat that much chocolate, odds are
ReelTok Podcast. Come for the movie opinions, stay for the scientific facts.
Stay to get wonked as well.
You've heard it here first. Seth says if you eat 800 boxes of chocolate in a 24-hour period, you will indeed gain weight.
You will indeed look like Keegan-Michael Kay in that film.
Confirmed.
Maybe not as quickly though, because that is crazy. His turnaround, he must have been eating like mad.
Is
that guy not feel sick?
The car shrank, and then Slugworth goes, "Yeah, dude, that's it."
The last thing I'll say is like Keegan-Michael Key is a character that you could so easily use wrong. Like you could use too much of him. I think there's a lot of comedic characters working in Hollywood nowadays where it's like, they're funny for what they are, but if you overuse them, it can be really abrasive. They used the perfect amount of Keegan-Michael Key.
No, I wasn't expecting to like him. Well, I didn't expect him to have a bigger part, to be fair, but I really, really enjoyed his character. I thought it was hilarious. I really, really enjoyed him. I don't actually know. I've not seen him in too much. Honestly, I know he's done a lot of voice work. If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a ton of voice work, but yeah,
I've really not seen him in that much. Was he in Get Out?
I don't believe so. He's mostly in like C-tier comedies and voice work, but
he is in Get Out.
Really?
Yeah, he is in Get Out.
Got to be very minor supporting role or something. I don't remember him at all.
I don't remember him at all.
Is he?
But I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the background or something, but maybe not.
Well, yeah, because he's done productions with Jordan Peele, obviously with Wendell and Wild, so that might have been why.
Yeah. I think he's just a big voice actor guy. I mean, he has a very iconic voice.
But yeah, I really, really liked him. I thought he worked really, really well. Anything else you want to go over in terms of anything else? Or
no?
Perfect. So I give it a 4.5. Tiger gave it 3.5, and George gave it a 4. George
and Cam gave it a 4.5.
Yeah,
based. Love Cam. I wish Cam was as well.
It's just so funny to me that he literally he saw everything for this episode.
I know the first time he had the time to do it.
Yeah, it's like the first time in a long time because he had a work trip where he was like away for a whole week where he was like, I'm going to be fully prepped for this episode. And of course, his water heater goes out and he has to be dealing with that right now.
We'll move on to obviously. I know you guys have reviewed it, or at least George and Cam did. Was it last week? Godzilla? 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Well, me and Tyler found the story. Obviously, just dropped in the UK here. Tyler got a chance to watch it as well. Quickly run through that. We won't run through the synopsis or anything. We've already done that. But Tyler, if you want to give your just thoughts in general. Yeah,
I'll keep it quick since we touched on it, and I'm more interested to hear like Seth talk about it. But it's just a phenomenal piece of filmmaking in every sense of the word. Like, it's the thing is, like I said this in my review. Like, if it's just for the action pieces alone and the combat pieces purely based off that and all the action sequences, it would be like one of the better. It would still be like a 3.5 movie just from that alone, like great action film. But then when you add in all the grounded and emotional character moments, you start off with the devastation of Japan where they're completely leveled to nothing. Their spirit isn't broken, but it's close to it. And then this Godzilla beast just comes out of nowhere. You don't know why, don't know where, and just starts wreaking havoc on the city and the country. And this country that's already been pummeled nonstop and is depleted for resources, trying to rebuild, now has to face an even bigger threat. And you get to see these people. Like, I think the relationship between Koichi, Noriko, and Akiko is like the perfect symbol for this entire movie, where it's, the baby's not any of theirs. They didn't know each other previously. Like, it's just these people that got put together by circumstances and just had to persevere and survive. And I just think that's what made it a 4.5 for me, is that like the action's great and it's awesome. And those scenes are incredible and they're so fun to watch, but it's really the moments between those with the grounded character moments, the entire supporting cast from all like the quirky, shipmen that are the minesweepers to all the people that are at the town hall trying to plan how to take down Godzilla. Like everyone in this film, like, is just such a perfect addition to the cast. And it just alone as an action film is incredible, but the emotion and the character work is just what really puts it over the top. It's my number 4 of the year. So which very high. Like, I love this movie.
Yeah. Where does Wonka stack up for you, George? Did you mention it?
It's just outside. Hold on. It is my number 13 right now, just behind Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Tyler, I won't ask you because I think it's harder with you because like people will take it out of context. You know, if you say it's like
Right.
48, if you say it's like 78th, it's like, well, yeah, but you've seen
Yeah, it's
892.
that 78 of
Right?
1,000.
Yeah, it's like I think right now it's actually
What are you actually at? Sorry to interrupt. What are
I
you
think
at
it's like
right now?
220. I'm gonna guess, Tyler.
No way.
217. And Wonka's
Dude.
Oh my
Wonka's
god, that was a great guess. That was
Wonka's
crazy.
38. It's right
Dude.
under Creed 3.
Oh, Wonka's 30. Yeah, that's actually pretty high, to be fair.
No way are you at 217.
My goal is 250 on the year, and I'm gonna freaking hit that
I
goal.
think I'm at like 84 now.
Yeah.
I've been picking it back up. I've been.
I'm at
recently.
87.
Next year, my goal
I'm
will be
on-
to
I'm
only
good.
see 50 new releases. Just
Only-
focus only on old stuff.
Only the main ones.
But
Yeah,
I'm done with my thoughts, Seth. Let's hear your Godzilla minus one thoughts.
yeah. Wonka's actually 4th for me, by the way, or 5th. One of the two. I think it's 4th.
Hell
Can't
yeah.
remember. Is it?
And this is above it, right?
fifth.
This is 3. Spoiler.
You fucking spoiling bastard. So Godzilla Minus One. I mean, what can I say that hasn't, what can I add to the conversation? It's a sprawling blockbuster, incredibly emotional, pivots obviously and antithesis. Like it's really interesting as well because it kind of goes back to Godzilla's roots of the original, of being, not the Hollywood one, of being this seeing the spirit of people in the event of a calamity, obviously going off to Nagasaki, Hiroshima bombings at the end of the Second World War. It very much relates to that. It's the fear of nuclear warfare, and obviously Godzilla as a primary metaphor for that. But it also is the first Godzilla film I've seen in a while where Godzilla actually has this like intimidating presence and this persona, this like aura. He's a monstrosity. It really goes back to that Leviathan ways of just being this kind of freak of nature. Like, for example, the breath scene, the atomic breath scene, in the city, Brad, like
Dude.
blew me away. I was like, what?
Shook my ass.
Yeah, and I was so wonked in that very moment. It was crazy. And the city, like everything about the film is just so many homages as well to like Jaws and a few other like Hollywood classics as well. And I think that the way this works is it kind of integrates the people in such an emotional way. Like it showcases the importance of having the human spirit in these disaster film moments. And I still don't understand how this was made with only $15 million. I mean, that's obscene. The work and the VFX and the design of Godzilla as a creature, and especially when they're using water CGI in a lot of sequences as well, really, really impressive. And I think not only like Tyler said, from an action standpoint, some of the scenes are amazing. Obviously, when they first encounter Godzilla right at the start of the film, really intimidating. You kind of get the first glimpse, and then obviously with the water scene on the boat, it's very reminiscent of Jaws, which obviously I really, really enjoyed. And he just has this aura and this presence that we haven't kind of seen in a while. It's just a really successful blockbuster that does what Godzilla needs to do by bringing it back to its very roots. It's not. It's weird because it's very, on the nose commentary, but in a way that it should be, in a way that Godzilla always has been, in a way that's important politically and socially to East Asian culture, especially Japanese culture. That scene was fantastic. I definitely cried near the end. The city sequence had me completely in awe. One of the best, seriously the best scenes I've probably seen this year. Maybe alongside like Oppenheimer, Trinity Test, for example, and maybe a couple others. That's one of my favorite scenes this year in terms of when he first enters the city. Just classic Godzilla, man. It's the exact thing you need to see. It just truly, truly amazing. I get a 4.5. I loved it. Same as Tyler. I think, it's my number 3 right now. So obviously just behind Oppenheimer and Kills the Flower Moon, and then just ahead of Wonka and Wonka and Across the Spider-Verse and then Asteroid City as well. That's my top 6 somewhere. We need to work out where I need to limit that up. But that's in my top 3. That's definitely 3rd place right now anyway. Absolutely loved it. A genius blockbuster. It's a shame that Hollywood just piles up shit with like 20 times the budget almost sometimes, and then we're getting that with such a lower amount. Really, really great. I was worried it wouldn't live up to the expectations people had built on it, and the expectation I set it for myself absolutely did tenfold. I thought it was even better than that. 4.5 from both me and Tyler, and obviously George and Tyler. George, what did you give? 4.5 as well? Did we all give 4.5?
Yeah.
Nice. I think I might watch that again. I wish I'd have seen that in IMAX as well. Like, I wish I'd have seen it. There wasn't any chairs near me in IMAX. I think if seeing it in IMAX would have been just crazy, like Dolby.
This movie is a part of the Real Close collection, where all of us give it a 4.5.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think this could go up to 5 for me in future. I'll watch it again, honestly.
Yeah,
I
I'm
really
excited to
do.
rewatch it. I think there's a lot of like homages almost to like Harakiri as well, which is like a destruction of
Yeah,
what samurai
yeah.
culture is, where it's like everyone thinks that's such an honorable thing, and then that movie kind of destroys that. And this is kind of the same exact thing with kamikaze culture and how Japanese life was so treated as just like meaningless in terms of like their own military just like throwing people away. They're like
Yeah,
sacrificing
definitely.
them like nothing, and then this really humanized them a lot more. So I thought definitely homage to like Harakiri in that aspect.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely loved it. We'll move on to some trailers now. Obviously, we got a fair few trailers this week, so we'll go through them. Kung Fu Panda 4 being the first one. The Furious 5 are in it, by the way, which is cool. I was a bit worried about that because that's the only thing I think the first two I think the first two Kung Fu Pandas are great. Both are 4-star. I think the third one's like okay, fine. But I think the Furious 5 for me are the most kind of enjoyable part of it, along with Poe, of course. I know that we obviously watched the trailer. I'll go over it in a second, but the directors confirmed that all the old villains will be returning at some point, and all the characters they know. They're going to cram a lot on this, which is kind of, I guess, worrying.
That was my concern. Everyone seems to be like really excited about this trailer. And I'm excited about this movie. I like the Kung Fu Panda trilogy as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything like incredible the way I hold like How to Train Your Dragon to this pedestal, but it just looks like they're trying to do so much in this movie, and I'm like nervous.
All they needed to do is bring back like Tai Lung, and that was kind of it. Like,
but they made it so obvious that Tai Lung is gonna like have this like buddy friendship, I think, with Poe.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. Because I mean, it's kind of expected anyway. But
Which I don't. Yeah, I don't mind, but like I don't know.
I think the trailer looked. I like the animation style. I like the design. I do like the character designs in this. Like Aquafina, who obviously I'm not huge on.
Dude,
But I will say her character design, the chameleon, does look kind of cool. I do like that. It's weird with her, man, because like
I don't get the hate for her. Like I don't love her.
I'm not counting her out. Like she's still had good. Don't get me wrong. She's so annoying in Little Mermaid and Renfield. That's 2 roles.
I think she's phenomenal in The Farewell. She's incredible. I think in Raya and the Last Dragon. Like, I think she has her moments.
Yeah, the hate for her is very.
It's just why is she showing up everywhere?
It is weird how she is getting so many roles.
Yeah, I truly think that's the hate for her. Just why is she in everything? She's had what, like 5 or 6 voice roles in the last like 2 years.
She's done a lot of them, but I mean, she might be okay. I'm not, the biggest fan of her in general, but she might be alright. But my biggest worry, like you said, is just the cramming everything in. Yeah. I think that might become an issue, especially when they're getting all the old villains in as well, because you kind of want to separate them. Like having Tai Lung is cool, because I do think he's the best one. But I think that if they put all of them in, it's going to be like a proper just clusterfuck of info. Yeah. Especially like an animated film like that, I think you'll come across as very messy. So I'm a little worried about that side of things. But I'll still watch it. It's a Kung Fu Panda movie, so I'm sure I'll probably get some enjoyment out of it. It'll probably be quite funny. And I just love Jack Black as well. I mean, Jack Black's the guy.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, true. He actually walked out with a UFC fight last night.
I saw that. I saw a video on Twitter, and I was like, "Is that funny. Jack fucking Black?"
It was so funny, yeah, because he walks out to the Tenacious D like song, and they got him out.
Yeah,
amazing. But yeah, Tyler, did you watch it? Did you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I watched it. I don't have any like Kung Fu Panda thoughts, though. Just not a huge Kung Fu Panda guy. Like I like the movies, but not like super excited. Do you know, like, is there a TV show, right? Like, do we have to know that background for this at all, or no? I don't think
so. TV show? Oh yeah, there is.
I'm pretty sure there's like a multiple season Nickelodeon.
Yeah, no,
TV show.
I don't know if I don't actually know what that is. I've never actually watched it. Yeah, there is. I only found out about that like fairly recently. I didn't even realize it was a TV show.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just it's completely separate. They were just like kids love the Kung Fu Panda world. Let's just like make TV shows about it. But
probably yeah. Obviously we'll move on. Dune 2.
Oh
yeah, it's man. Some of the Brendan something. Right, Brendan
Fraser.
No.
Who? Give us context.
Is this a famous person or is this like a patron?
Greg Fraser. There we go.
Oh,
cinematographer for Doom.
Yeah,
man. It's the way that Denis, the way that Denis collaborates with these cinematographers is just unbelievable. Some of the arena scene in this trailer is absurd, crazy. And I really think this is going to be just some of the blocking in these shots. It looks just amazing. I think they got When was the confirmed runtime? Was that recently or was that a while ago?
It's like 2:46, I believe.
2 hours 46.
Yeah.
The trailer just.
Dude,
Is this the second or third trailer we've had now? I feel like we've had like.
I think it's the second. Maybe we had like a teaser and then we had a first trailer and then we had a second trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looks just.
I've had this trailer on. I've had this trailer and the Furiosa trailer on repeat for the last two since they released, dude. This is gonna be the movie. Just the movie of this century, of this decade, that just goes down in the history books.
Have you read Dune, George?
Like half of it.
It's big, isn't it?
It's a large.
It's dense,
book.
like in terms of.
Yeah. There's a lot. I'm kind of want to read it, but I'm scared of it. You know what I mean? It kind of worries me.
I've given up on reading it because I want to go in blind to the second.
Yeah,
movie.
that's kind of true. Well, apparently the first one kind of strays anyway, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know.
Not too badly. No.
Okay, fair. But yeah, it looks just fantastic. Obviously, this is all of our, I think, one of our most anticipated films for next year. Obviously, releases March the 1st now. Obviously, got pushed forward like 2 weeks, I think, or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because originally meant to be like 19th. So it's really creeping up on us now. Very much so. Very, very excited. I agree with George. I think this has the potential, especially if we're backing off the first one, with a lot more to go into the second one, apparently, according to what I know from speaking to people. It has the potential to be one of the biggest, science fiction achievements maybe ever. Like, I'm just, who knows, man. It looks fucking insane.
That'd be so good.
Yeah, nothing much more to add there. We also got a trailer for Alex Garland's Civil War. So, in the near future, a group of war journalists attempt to survive while reporting the truth as the United States stands on the brink of civil war. Great cast. You got Kaylee Spaney, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons. They come like a duo now, don't they? It's like always together. Nick Offerman, Jefferson White, Carl Thingy, I can't remember his name. Alex Garland, man. How can you go from Ex Machina and Annihilation to fucking tone deaf shit like men? Crazy. I think this looks okay. I'm not sold on this, I'll be honest. I'm not sold on it. I think it looks okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on the trailer either. I was honestly kind of watching. I was like, who is like guiding Alex Garland's hand right now? Because this feels like such a, and I know filmmakers obviously stray away from their norm often, very, very often, but like, considering he started with Ex Machina and Annihilation, two very low budget science fiction films that just, for me personally, had such a lasting impression. Men I didn't really care for, but it still had that Alex Garland feel to it. This just feels like a complete left turn, and it's just, I'm wondering who's like guiding his hand right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think it's a project I can kind of see him taking, but it is definitely different, than his other works. I don't know how high budget this is. I think
the highest.
A24 is highest, right?
By like 40 million. It's 65 million is the budget, and previously Beau is Afraid was their highest budget at like 35 million.
What the fuck was Everything Everywhere All at Once?
That was 20 million.
That's crazy, by the way. Jesus.
I don't know. Just from the trailer alone, this movie looks so safe. Like, I don't get where that budget came into play unless like it's literally like an alien invasion ends up being what, because we all are like, what could possibly make Texas and California band together? Maybe there's an alien invasion. There could be it's Alex Garland. He just made Men. I feel like they're not going to make it safe because this trailer looks like a Purge 5. Like, this movie looks like a movie that's going to be very in your face politics. The action and story will be like a 5 out of 10. You'll watch and be like, didn't hate my time with that. Never need to see it again. That's what the trailer
Did you watch Men, Tyler?
Yes.
What did you think of Men?
Didn't love it. I loved the first hour, but then
did you like Annihilation and Ex Machina as well?
I haven't seen either. But I love Alex Garland as a writer. Like 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Incredible.
I think you'd be all over Ex Machina, especially. I think you'd like love that.
Okay, good to know. Well, he's so brilliant at sci-fi. That's why I just feel like there has to be a crazy left turn in this movie of some supernatural. Like,
probably.
Why would A24? I mean, I get it. Like, the U.S. elections next year, this movie's coming out next year. I think maybe they're like, oh, we'll throw a bunch of money at this and we're going to capitalize on the election, make a ton of money back. But I'd like to think A24 threw a lot of money at this because there's going to be some crazy science fiction twist in this that none of us are expecting.
You'd expect so, definitely.
Yeah.
We also got a trailer for If, which is the new John Krasinski film.
From the Imagination or whatever it was.
A story of a girl that discovers that she can see everyone's imaginary friends and what she does with that superpower as she embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten ifs with their friends, starring Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, Kaylee Fleming, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Steve Carell, Fiona Shaw. It's got a pretty good cast actually. Matt Damon. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like the trailer, to be honest.
I didn't care for it either, but it's crazy how like Ryan Reynolds has to be like the most hated guy on film Twitter in terms of like actors. Like anything he's in, people are just gonna assume it's gonna be the shittiest thing ever. He has a shtick for sure, but like I don't know.
Yeah, people really, really hate.
Seems like an earnest guy. Like I have nothing against him as a person. Like sure, like
I think it's just his comedy style for most people. It's just like a bit. I don't love his comedy style, to be fair, but I don't hate him. I think he's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him take. I'd like to see him do some more interesting stuff.
Yeah, like Mississippi Grind, an A24 film. I think is incredibly underrated.
He used to do some really. Yeah, I need to watch that. He used to do some really interesting stuff, but I don't know. I just don't. I'm not exactly excited for this. Any thoughts or anything?
Completely Ryan Reynolds aside, just like the trailer in general. Like I've seen it like 4 times now, just before movies and theaters. It's like before everything right now. I'm just like, this looks very whatever. Looks like Grimace, whatever, like the purple thing or whatever. It looks like the Grimace shake.
The Grimace shake. Jesus, man, that was like running the internet for so long.
I know, maybe that, like, who knows? That might have been his head when he wrote this. He's like, we're going to capitalize on this Grimace meme. And then the animation studio's like, this isn't going to be done for another year and a half. He's like, well, shoot.
Well,
missed that opportunity.
Yeah. Another trailer we got was for Miller's Girl, a talented young writer embarks on a creative odyssey when her teacher assigns a project that entangles them both in an increasingly complex web. Starring Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman is not a nice human. Let's just get that out of the way at all.
Has he been canceled? Did I miss something with Martin Freeman?
Yeah, what happened with Martin Freeman?
Please just look into him.
Can't keep track of all these cancellations.
Yeah, there's too much.
So I knew he was like a problematic guy, but saw some tweets by him recently. I looked at some of the interviews. It's crazy. So if you
like, he's just a mean dude, or like he has like genuine accusations.
He's a racist dude.
Oh.
Like damn. He's very, very politically inclined. He's very if you listen to this, do some research on him.
So him being in the Black Panther movies was his version of Get Out, being like, I would have voted for Obama 3 times if I could.
Honestly, I mean, maybe it's not bad. I've seen so many quotes where I'm like, Jesus Christ.
The script of this movie is leaked online. I avoided it though, but apparently it's crazy. Like, because that went around Twitter and everyone's like, the script leaked. I think it's probably gotten taken down at this point, but everyone's because I posted a reaction to the trailer saying like, it's Jenna Ortega, like we'll be there opening night. But everyone's like, have you seen the script? It's crazy. I'm like, well, first off, interesting. Second off, no, I don't want to see the script. I don't want to go in blind, but looks, and I mean, it's just like one of those movies that I saw the trailer. I was like, looks like a whatever, like looked interesting, but like the cast alone made me more excited, maybe less excited. Now I know that Martin Freeman's canceled, but Jenna Ortega generally picks interesting projects. So
yeah. Isn't it weird how like she's so just not in the limelight anymore compared to what it was?
I saw a tweet like literally 2 days ago. Actually, yeah. It said
it's true. Like
ever since this picture dropped, Jenna Ortega's been out of the limelight, and it was like a picture of her smoking a cigarette. I was like, dude.
Literally like a 21-year-old woman.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
What are we talking about here? It's crazy.
I think probably 99.8% of people who've ever been on screen in a movie smoke cigarettes. Like, it's just
for sure.
They got.
What are we talking about? It's crazy.
It's in the culture.
Obviously, it's been directed by Jade Helly Bartlett, who's a first film, so directorial debut. Interesting to see. Not really too bothered about it, to be honest. We'll move on to some news. We have a fucking lot of news. Jesus Christ.
Most of it's quick to go through.
Yeah, just
most importantly, Andre Braugher has passed away at the age of 61. Obviously, a very, very well beloved American actor. Obviously, most famously, probably Brooklyn Nine-Nine. R.I.P. Rest in peace. I love the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think he's fantastic. Definitely really, really sad to see him go. Mm-hmm. Golden Globes nominees were announced as well. I generally think across the board, Tyler, have you got a
I do have them pulled up if you want me to.
I genuinely think across the board, they're like, not that contentious.
They're
like the Oscars. There's a lot of misses. There's a lot of different stuff in there, which I like. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Everyone's going to say there are misses, there are hits, but I think this is like the safest awards show nominee list I've seen in like a they didn't do anything that like truly should piss anyone off. Everything is like expected. Like the only things that like should like maybe bother people are like Barry Keoghan getting into Best Actor for Saltburn, just because Saltburn not really received as well. Same thing with Coleman Domingo getting into the Best Actor drama, just because Rustin hasn't been received too well. But like nothing is like pissing anyone off. Like every nominee that should be nominated pretty much was nominated. Barbie people are like, can't believe Barbie's racking up this many nominations. You should believe that. Like, I tweeted the other day, I think Barbie, do not be surprised if Barbie is this year's Titanic, La La Land, Return of the King, where it's going to get that picture, director, actress,
I still think it
supporting
should be
actor.
adapted screenplay. I don't get the original screenplay.
I don't
It's
either.
weird.
Yeah, it should be adapted. I agree with that. But then it's going to pop up in a lot of tech categories, production
It's always
design.
gonna happen. I don't think people are surprised.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know why a lot of
reaction
people are like
videos.
shocked. Like I'm just looking through like the nominees, Best Actress Drama. Like you got Lily Gladstone, you have Emma Stone in comedy, you have Sandra Hüller, Greta Lee, Kaylee Spaney, Carey Mulligan. You have everyone that should pop up.
Yeah,
popped up.
every name that people have mentioned.
Yeah, like if we want to talk shit nominees, we would be going through the Critics' Choice Awards, but those are the most unserious nominee list I've seen in forever.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any like notable like. So I'll just read a couple of the big categories off. We'll just plow through them. But like best motion picture drama, we got Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives. and Zone of
fucking
Interest.
Maestro, man. Why is it getting so much support?
Well,
But
so
it
the thing about
make-
Golden
that's the
Globes is you
thing,
get
it-
12 nominees because you get drama and then the comedy musical.
Oh.
So there's just like so many movies. But
The
Bradley
only
Cooper's
thing-
going to win Best Actor at the Oscars, isn't he?
No, I
This
think
is
he's
gonna be-
gonna,
I
I
think
hope
he's going
not,
to
but I
win
think,
Best
yeah.
Actor.
I
I'm gonna
think-
say he's going to be like a Jamie Lee Curtis supporting from last year.
I think he's gonna win Best Actor Drama at the Golden Globes, but I still think the Oscars is between Killian and Leonardo. I don't think Bradley
Yeah,
Cooper had.
I don't know. What the
Yeah,
fuck
I still think Leo in Killers of the Flower Moon. I know it's not. I mean, it's being described as one of his best of his career, but in like Leo's career, that's still crazy. Like he still has such a repertoire of acting performances. I don't think Bradley Cooper's performance is going to be as Oscar baity as everyone thinks it is.
I just think the movie is so. Bradley Cooper is pushing for it so hard. The movie is so
Yeah.
trying to be.
but
good.
the
It's just
but the
so
Oscar
Oscar-based
but
to
the
me.
award shows love that. Like they love when these filmmakers and these actors like take these risks for awards nominations. Like they want to see that.
But do you not think that Maestro is like one of the most Oscar-y films of this year?
No, it is. It for sure is. It's
I
a
just- I
very
can see it.
Oscar baity
I can
film.
see it
But that plays to awards season perfectly. Like that's exactly what they want
That's
to
what I
see.
mean. Like,
I don't think
feel
it's gonna
like
win.
Bradley Cooper's gonna win.
I don't think Maestro
I think he'll win
wins
something.
one Oscar.
Really.
I don't.
I think it might win.
I don't. In the
Best
tech
Actor. I think he'll
categories,
win-
Poor Thing and Oppenheimer are too strong for Maestro to overtake it in anything. I don't think Bradley Cooper's winning director, picture,
I think
or
Carey
actor.
Mulligan could win.
Carey Mulligan could be a dark horse for best actress,
might
but
be
I
she's the
still
best part of
think-
the movie by far.
Yeah, she was the
Oh,
best
by
part of the movie,
far, by
but I
far.
still think Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone have just too much momentum going into the
What's
Oscar
Emma
season.
Stone? Oh, of course, Poor Things.
Poor Things.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tyler, I know you were reading the nominations. Jennifer Lawrence getting a Best Actress nominee for No Hard Feelings is the funniest thing in the world to me.
Mhm.
Like
She got
that's
a
just
nomination. Oh, you should.
yeah for No
That's
Hard
good.
Feelings in comedy musical, obviously, but like she's around Natalie Portman, Margot Robbie, Emma Stone, Fantasia, who are like not locks. I mean, Emma Stone is, but these are Oscar contenders. And then you have
May December,
Jennifer.
like, about pedophilia. Why is that a comedy? I don't really. Is
I
it a
mean,
comedy?
What movie?
They made a December.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a dark comedy.
I mean,
Is it a dark
Get
comedy?
Out
Yeah.
was nominated as a comedy. At the
Yeah,
Golden Globes.
so was
Get
The
Out kind
Martian.
of is a dark comedy. To be fair, I get
The
that.
Martian, was
Martian.
also.
The Martian's a
what was the other
comedy.
one?
Yeah, they're all over the place with these. Also, Ricky Gervais said it best: the Golden Globes are the most easily bought award out there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm super excited for the Zone of Interest, like more than any other movie. But I'm going to stand by my fact that it's getting a limited release like 2 days ago, and it's not getting a wide release until 2024. I don't think it wins a single Oscar purely because of that. I truly think people like if you're
Yeah.
releasing your movie in
No,
late
not even
December, you're
getting
not going to
released.
get awards.
I don't think it wins a single Oscar just because of how top heavy the Oscar race is
Oh, we don't get until February.
between Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Killers of the Flower Moon. I think this is such a top heavy Oscars race.
Where's
I
my boy
think-
Timmy in these nominations, man?
He's here. He's here. Best Actor, Comedy Musical. He got nominated for Wonka.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Where's
that-
Where's
uh,
Michael Keegan K? Whatever his fucking name is. There. He should be right up there.
Yeah, he did.
What's his name?
No, it's
Michael
Keegan Michael Key.
Keegan Michael Key.
Hey. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. There's nothing like
American Fiction. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
there's nothing crazy that's going on. Best
both,
Supporting Actor.
Lucky
This is
Phoenix
what I was
in there.
saying. So the 6 nominees for Best Supporting Actor: Willem Dafoe, Poor Things; Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon; Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer; Ryan Gosling for Barbie; Charles Melton for May December; and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. I think those are the top 6 for Oscars, and I think Willem Dafoe will be the one that gets bumped out because the Oscars is only 5 nominations.
Interesting. Is Joaquin Phoenix nominated for?
He is, yeah.
Wait,
for
he
comedy
was?
musical. Yeah, for Beau is Afraid.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say for Napoleon, but yeah.
No. Beau is Afraid.
Yeah. No,
Best
sorry.
actor.
Yeah,
comedy
Beau is Afraid was
musical.
definitely his better performance of the year. But
Yeah.
supporting actress or supporting female actor. Jodie Foster in Nyad was interesting. It's just her name. I feel like got her in there. Nyad was such a nothing film. It's a Netflix original about like a woman who tried to swim from the Bahamas to Miami. Annette Bening, I think is her name, is the main actress. I think she also got nominated as well.
She got nominated as well, yeah.
But yeah,
no Alyssa Sutherland in Best Supporting Actress. No Rachel McAdams in
Rachel McAdams missed? Damn.
Yeah.
What would she get nominated for?
Are You There, God Is Me, Margaret?
Yeah,
I forgot that support. Like, it's so weird, man. The best actor and actress they split between drama and comedy, and then supporting actor and actress they just all lump into one. It's so weird.
That's what I'm saying. It's just an unserious.
A lot of people were upset they added like the Cinematic Box Office Achievement Award. It's just so funny because like I saw a tweet that was like you get an award for best box office achievement. It's like the tweet was like
that's the funniest.
Yeah, like that is
so weird.
Award box office achievement is the box office. Like you made a lot of money from it. Like I need an award.
I swear some things didn't even make profit run there as well. What was on the box office one?
I mean, it was
Barbie,
Guardians
of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Taylor Swift The Eras Tour.
Oh, fuck. Why are we nominating that?
Box office achievement, man.
Oh, that's crazy. What are we doing here?
I know. But yeah, other than that,
Best director, I think, is the same thing with best supporting actor, where I think this is the top 6, and of these 6, I think I don't even know. I think so. The nominees are Greta Gerwig, Barbie; Scorsese, Flower Moon; Nolan, Oppenheimer; Lanthimos for Poor Things; Celine Song for Past Lives; and Bradley Cooper for Maestro. I think Greta Gerwig is number 6 when it comes to the Oscar race.
That clown meme with raised next to the soldiers.
Yeah,
literally that right there. That's crazy.
But I could also see it being Celine's Song because I could see the Oscars trying to capitalize on the Barbenheimer stuff, which is completely not like past them. But I could also see it being Bradley Cooper getting that like nomination snub. They already snubbed him for A Star Is Born. I don't think they're strangers to doing it again. So I don't know. All of these nominations feel very safe. It bothers me that there's 6 per category, and it bothers me that this didn't really give us any insight into like the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Oscar nominations are announced on January 24th, I believe. So we still got a little over a month before we'll find those out. Same day as the Razzie Awards get announced. The nominees get announced.
Let's go.
But yeah, that's all I have on the Golden Globes.
Yeah, that's all I got for the Golden Globes too.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to do some more news. Okay, so Saw 11 has been announced, releasing September 27th. They're just going to keep doing these for fucking ages, aren't they? But
if they make it like Saw 10, hell yeah. If they just say Saw 10 was a one-timer, we're going to go back to like Saw 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then it's like, keep it. I don't need
George, have you watched Saw 10 yet?
I still have not seen Saw 10.
Okay.
Be a good uplifting movie for you to watch after the pod.
Warner Bros. And Tubi have signed a deal to bring all DC movies to Tubi stream free.
A lot of people are just upset with that because it's like Tubi's like a free, like it's just like think it's like a poverty move, but whatever. You know, streaming services have to make money, and I don't know, more people get to see movies for free. I'm all for that. If you can see all the Warner Brothers movies for free, cool. But yeah, it does definitely look like we need money desperately. We're going to start selling our movies for free.
Yeah. James Cameron calls on director's episode Greta Gerwig via video call. Man, I got some fucking hate for this. I tweeted saying I thought this is weird because I saw that he lived in LA, which is where they filmed. Apparently he lives in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Which
he lives
too.
And I got some James Cameron
Dude, James Cameron's got like the biggest cult following.
One of them quoted me and then took the piss out of how I look. I was like, Jesus, man, this is crazy. What are we doing here? So I got it. Yeah, I guess kind of. I haven't watched it yet. Apparently, the episode's actually really, really good.
I haven't.
I'm sure what it ended up being was Variety was like, James Cameron, do you want to do this? He was like, I'm in New Zealand, not really like interested in traveling out there. And I'm sure Variety was like, no worries, we'll do a video call. Like I doubt like James Cameron like was scheduled to be there.
I think the setup could be better. It was very weird looking. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
It was just a room.
It literally looked like he was in a submarine from the still images.
Yeah.
Which like James Cameron, like he could have been in a submarine.
He could have been, yeah. I'm definitely gonna watch the Spike Lee and Bradley Cooper one. I saw a few clips from that. You know where Spike Lee's like complimenting him. That's kind of wholesome. I need to.
I've seen all the actors on actors. I haven't seen all far, which they've all been fantastic. By the way, you guys should definitely check that, especially the Emma Stone, Bradley Cooper one.
I've only seen one of them, which is Mark Ruffalo and Robert. I need to watch them all.
That was a good one.
Margot Robbie and
Margot was great.
Margot was just like glazing him the entire time.
Yeah, the entire time. It was so funny.
She glazed me. That's crazy. Greta Gerwig will preside as the jury of the 2024 Cannes Film Festival. Dwayne Johnson will star in his first A24 film, directed by Benny Safdie. The film will be a drama that follows MMA fighter Mark Kerr during his peak era in the UFC as he struggles with addiction, winning, and love. Dwayne Johnson actually picked like a real role. Really interesting though, because I think Dwayne Johnson has the potential to do this. So I'm really keen to. I like that he's actually trying to do something different. And I think this is a role which is going to be a real test for him. It's going to be very hard hitting. It's going to be very emotional. It's going to be very individual. So I'm keen to see it. I think hopefully he does well, and hopefully we can have another Dave Bautista situation where he kind of moves out the franchise thing, and this argument can be put to bed, whatever. Adam Sandler and George Clooney will star in Noah Baumbach's next film for Netflix, described as an emotional coming-of-age film about adults. Nice.
Love it.
Also, there was no news here, but did you see that George Clooney's they've got a script, briefly wrote a script or something for New Oceans film?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool. Ridley Scott will direct.
It's not confirmed though, right?
No, it's not confirmed. He just said in an interview that they've got some ideas for whatever, and there's a brief script, but it's not confirmed. Ridley Scott will direct Bomb for 20th Century Studios. The action thriller follows a hostage negotiator who called into duty the night before his wedding in London to stop a bomb that he has history with. Fair enough, I'll watch it. I don't trust Ridley. Fuck you. Actually, I do.
Yeah, Ridley in his later years. I don't know.
Yeah, apart from Alien Covenant, though. Obviously, banger.
This is like,
and the last Duel was pretty good as well.
The last Duel was good.
I saw a trailer before one of the movies this weekend. It's like a movie. Have any of you seen this trailer for like a movie about like the International Space Station? It's like a thriller.
Yeah,
low key. Like I feel like it's probably gonna end up being like a average movie. Like because it's like it feels like a very January February release. But low key, that plot was like. That had me.
That's the one where something happens on the ground, and then the Americans and the Russians are fighting in space.
Yeah, well, like the Americans and the Russians are at the International Space Station, and like they're like looking down at Earth and see like nuclear war just happen, like missiles are like the entire world explodes, and the Russians are told like take control of the International Space Station, and the Americans are told
it's an acronym. The movie's name is an acronym. ISS, I think.
But isn't that International Space Station, or is it like?
Yeah. I think that's the name of the movie.
Yeah, and. I don't know. From the trailer, I was like, okay, like it feels like a plane. I feel like it's gonna be like a plane-esque movie, but I was like, good plot. This has me intrigued. But yeah,
ISS.
Yeah, I just saw it before, like a Godzilla Minus One or something.
Yeah. I didn't know what you mean. I saw it on Twitter. And also, obviously, moving on to some nerd news, didn't really have much to go over this week. Zachary Levi on if he could return in James Gunn's DCU in a new role like Sean Gunn. When you're the brother of the guy who runs DC, I guess you get to play where you want. This guy's so fucking bitter, isn't he?
Yeah, saying that is not going to help him.
Well, like the thing is,
all I see about him is negative shit, and then he ruined Chicken Run 2 as well.
He's just destroying his reputation. And the thing I saw, like, because it was just a very snooty and annoying comment to make, but also like I saw someone quote tweet him, be like, Sean Gunn was on the picket lines every single day, like during the strikes, whereas like you were like complaining and all the time about like you can't promote Shazam 2. So it's like when you're like publicly, when you're kind of doing that while Sean Gunn's actually be like a good guy in the industry, like it makes a lot of people not empathetic to your point.
Also, Sean Gunn's not even bad as well. He's actually all right. He's fine.
Yeah. But whatever. I just thought it was like, it's just such an annoying comment for Zachary Levi to make. And it's such a Zachary Levi comment to make also.
Yeah. And finally, Rebel Moon early reviews are bad, and I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, Tyler just got that in there. Just
zero. I saw that on the rundown. I was like, no need for the triple bad.
Seriously though, George, I am actually really intrigued, but I do think if you watch the, is it getting a theatrical release?
Yeah,
I think limitedly. It's not near me, so probably New York and LA.
It's
I
not
imagine.
near me.
Okay,
yeah.
Because I do.
I'm on Long Island
True.
through Christmas, so it's not playing.
It will
anywhere
make
here.
a difference, obviously, if you watch the, the director's one, whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's shit, George.
George, as a huge Snyder
I'm still
guy,
holding out hope.
as a huge Snyder
Did
guy,
you,
genuinely.
what did you think of Army of the Dead, George?
Yeah, of course.
What did you think of it?
I like Army of the Dead. It's 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Okay, I think you'll give the like little, I give Army of the Dead 2.5, so a bit higher than this. So
Okay.
I think maybe 2.5, 3 for you, maybe around that sort of level. Maybe you won't mind it.
George,
But it's
as a
shit.
big Snyder guy, do you genuinely think there is like a coordinated industry like attack that like anytime a Snyder film comes out, there's like a plot against him to all shit on him? Or do you think
No, I truly just think his style of filmmaking just breeds polarization. Like,
exactly.
You either like his eye for film, you either like this dark, slow motion, these tendencies of his, or you don't. And I think over time, a lot of people have begun to blame him for the downfall of DC, which I think has led to people just shitting on all of his movies.
I also think that people don't like Zack Snyder because of his so annoying fan base. Like Zack Snyder,
that
it's
too.
weird that he has such a timid guy, nice guy, is such like a toxic, horrible.
I don't think Zack
fan base.
Snyder gives a fuck what anyone says.
No, he doesn't. He just makes films for him. Clearly, he enjoys making films. But
I
his
think
fan base are horrible online.
Yeah,
they're genuinely
Zack Snyder and M. Night Shyamalan. I think they have the two.
Yeah.
And I know everyone says like the MCU fan base sucks, and they do. Same with Star Wars, but I think the Snyder fan base and the Shyamalan fan base are the two most annoying, defensive fan bases ever. And it makes like the other side, people who defend Snyder are so annoying that people who hate Snyder just want to hate him amplified just to piss off people who like him.
Funds ruin everything.
Funds
ruin everything.
It's just,
but no, I don't. I've seen these tweets of like, oh, there's a targeted attack against Zack Snyder on Rotten Tomatoes. One, stop giving a fuck about Rotten Tomatoes. I'm so sick and tired of every time a polarizing movie comes out, 30% critic score, 80% audience score, and then there's like a million tweets about it. Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Cry.
Like, every time I see another Rotten Tomatoes tweet, I lose a day of my life. That's how it works.
That's literally how it is. To be fair.
It is the most annoying thing in the world.
Those tweets are just so funny. Though. There's so many like Snyder cultists that were like so unbothered by their views. They're like, "Oh, guys, look, the Red Cloak Society of the critics had their underground meeting once again."
Like conspiracy theories.
They drank the blood of James Gunn, and
literally
again, they all coordinated. They had a meeting in secret. I tracked their locations.
People
decided
think
to review bomb this.
There's a group of 30 critics who go to this underground dungeon in the Vatican City and just review bomb every single Snyder movie that comes out.
I guarantee some of them actually believe that. It's crazy.
Like, Jesus fuck.
God. It was so funny.
I am still excited. That's all. That is the moral of the story. I know, Seth, we align pretty evenly on a lot of films. So obviously your review hurt. Same with Sophie. I know her review was on the lower side.
Different though.
Sophie is different. I did not think Sophie doesn't like that high science fiction
and that was her
to begin
first
with.
Snyder as well.
And that was her first Snyder, which
Whereas
is probably...
I've liked his film. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Actually,
so
I've not disliked any of his other films. The worst one I've seen. Oh, sorry, Justice League. Oh, that doesn't.
Don't do. I mean, that's the Joss Whedon.
The only one the lowest I've rated is Army of the Dead, but that was still 2.5. I didn't dislike it by any means. So
yeah. So I'm still excited. I know. Whatever. I know what everyone's saying about the movie, but again, I also know that I like the Snyder Cut more than a lot of people. I like BVS more than a lot of people. I like Army of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead more than I just like Zack Snyder. I like his style. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
So we'll see.
We shall move on anyway. This week we have a Q&A, I believe. On the main episode.
10 questions here.
So Tyler's got a few questions to go over. We're going to cover some questions before we obviously mention what we're going to be doing in the Real Quicks. Tyler, if you want to go over the questions, and we'll answer them.
Shout out
That's
to our
kinda how it
patrons who asked all these questions. Check out our Patreon and the link down below. We have a lot of stuff coming, especially for the ReelTok Award Show this year. We're doing a lot of big things, so we could really use your support on the Patreon. And you get to ask us questions like this, join our Discord, movie watch alongs, all kinds of great stuff. So go check it out in the description down below. So shout out to all the patrons for these questions. So Roko 1.0 asks, what's a movie quote that changed your life or had a huge impact? Is there anything off the top of your head that comes to mind?
Oh my God. You really hit us.
I feel like George, I feel you always have like quotes in the back pocket. You always pull out quotes.
I don't have them in the back pocket. Like I've loved putting quotes from movies in my Letterboxd reviews that like stick with me. But these aren't quotes that like I just knew off the top of my head before I watched these movies. These are quotes that like while I was watching a movie, I just happened to love it. Like from Almost Famous most recently, Philip Seymour Hoffman drops this line. The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool. And I thought that line was fucking amazing. Another line from the same movie, Almost Famous, is, and if you ever get lonely, you could just go to a record store and visit your friend. And I thought that was just such a powerful quote. But I don't know. There's so many, like I'm sure I could pull a lot from After Sun that I love. Like I love that quote Frankie Corio says, oh God, give me 2 seconds and I'll pull it up. The quote that Frankie Corio says from, God, where is it? I know I have this on deck somewhere. Yeah. I think it's nice that we share the same sky. And then Paul Mescal says, what do you mean? And she's like, well, like sometimes at playtime, I look up at the sky and if I see the sun, then I think that the fact that we can both see the same sun. So even though we're not actually in the same place, and we're not actually together, we kind of are in a way, like we're both underneath the same sky, so kind of together. And I thought that was just such a fantastic quote from that movie. So I don't know. I don't have anything like powerful off the top of my head.
You just pulled like 3 powerful ones off the top of your head.
No, these were not off the top of my head. I pulled up my Letterboxd and my TikTok. But yeah, but like as I guess what I'm trying to say is as I go deeper, I'm sorry for ranting so long on this, but like as I go deeper into like my film journey, that's something I've tried to pay attention to more, just like powerful lines of dialogue. Like it's something I'm trying to just pay attention to more while watching movies.
Seth, do you have any off the top of your head?
I actually don't. It's not something I don't know. There'll be loads. If I looked through my letterbox and saw a film, like, oh yeah, I love this one, but it's not something I can't really say that one changed my life. I think it's more the film itself. I don't really see a line of dialogue and be like, okay, that's had a massive impact. Well, it depends. Depends on the film's topics. Most of the ones I'd probably give you would be stupid ones that aren't related to life at all. It'd be like a line from Lord of the Rings, for example. It'd be like something like that. Something related to a film I love rather than something that's going to give me important life advice. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Do you know what, sorry to interrupt it. Do you know what line from Lord of the Rings I just have ingrained in my head? And it's like the one line from Lord of the Rings that like, anytime I think of Lord of the Rings, this is the line that just pops up.
You're a wizard, Harry.
No. It's I am no man.
Mate, that's like one of my favorite lines in ever. That's one of my favorite scenes.
It's one of my favorite scenes from the entire trilogy. It's one of my favorite lines. I don't know what it is about that line, but every time Lord of the Rings pops up on Twitter or TikTok, the one thing I think of is I am no man.
Know what it is,
and then she just
you know what it is. Powerful characters in fantasy, powerful female characters in fantasy are 10 a penny. Peter Jackson did it really, really well by inputting that in there. Especially that was perfect. I agree. That's one of mine. Yeah. Anything from a film I love, I probably like. It's not something
exactly.
I haven't
mm-hmm.
Like not a powerful quote, but like I absolutely love "I'm Always Gonna Love You" from La La Land. Like I'm sure Tyler, you feel the same. Like it's not like I say that to Victoria every other day, probably.
You love the film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a powerful line, but it's just like it's one of those memorable lines, and it's just one of those lines that just wraps up this movie so beautifully.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I don't have them in my back pocket like George does, or have them in my Letterboxd reviews. But from Good Will Hunting, when Robin Williams says, "Do you think I'd know the first thing about how hard your life has been, how you feel, who you are, because I read Oliver Twist?" I think it's just like so many times in this world, people will just see like I'll be like, Seth likes working out and he's British. I know everything now about Seth's entire life. Or like George lives in New York City and loves movies. I now know everything about it. Like so often in today's world, people just like see one thing about someone. Like I have you completely figured out. I know your entire life story, and it's just not the case. So I'll throw that one out for a quote. Okay, Dylan Chip asks, off the top of your head, quick reaction, favorite actor and actress.
All of these off the
That
top
one's
of my
easy.
head.
But quick
Fav-
reaction, the first one that comes to your mind. That's the point.
Can we say working?
Yeah,
Just 'cause it's easy.
working.
I'm going all time, whatever. Christian Bale is my favorite actor.
Okay.
Obviously, it goes beyond The Dark Knight. I just love him in everything. I think he was disgustingly snubbed at the Oscars for his performance as Dick Cheney the year Rami Malek won for Bohemian Rhapsody. Obviously, I know that's not a very well-received movie, but I think that performance is just in the rafters all time. And then he obviously has a slew of others. Tyler, you love The Prestige, and I love him in that movie. Actress, off the top of my head, I'll pull Amy Adams, but I really don't know. Emma Stone, honestly, is like slowly climbing my ranks. Even on the male side, Tom Hardy with every performance just continues to be one of my favorites. Kurt Russell, I would toss up there as one of my favorite male actors. Frances McDormand, Viola Davis.
I knew this would happen. Name one, and you've named
yeah,
like 12.
I don't know.
I was going to do the same.
I have no idea. I think the only Christian Bale favorite actor, that is a lock. On the women's side, it could be anyone. There are so many phenomenal women in Hollywood. But even on the male side, after Wonka, I was like, fuck, maybe Timmy is my favorite actor right now.
Yeah, true.
I got one. I'll just do one for each. So I tweeted about him yesterday. He's at the top of my mind. Christopher Abbott for actor working today. Love everything he's in. Just can't get enough of him. Working actress, Saoirse Ronan.
Wolfman.
There, just one of each.
Yeah, Saoirse Ronan. God damn, man. Saoirse Ronan's so good.
Seth, what do you got?
Best actor, I'm going to give 3 because he's the first 3 when I think about the actor ever. You know, it's easier. Stephen Graham, Al Pacino, Ethan Hawke. There we go.
Yeah, I knew Ethan Hawke. I knew you were going to pull Ethan Hawke.
Actress. Shit. Tilda Swinton, Liv Ullmann,
OC.
Olivia Colman. There we go. Perfect. That's 3. I'm not giving you 1. That's
Shout out OC. This one's fun. What is the last film you recommended to someone that you liked or loved and they hated or just did not
Lost Highway with Anna 2 weeks ago. She despised it. Ruined me. That's the easy one.
The last film that I recommended that
mine was probably May, December. I recommended it to Riley's mom after she first texted me. She's like, what did you think of Leave the World Behind, that new apocalyptic thriller? And I said, didn't really look
big, isn't it? Like people are watching.
Yeah, but based on the subject matter, I'm not surprised it kind of spread so big. And like that's also like people are still underrated. Like everyone's like, oh, Netflix is dying. It's like the power, like a Netflix original movie can still like, catch on like wildfire. But she's like, what do you think of this movie? I'm like, I didn't love it. Not that great. I wouldn't recommend it. 2.5 hours later, she texts me, yeah, I didn't like that movie. I'm like, I told you I didn't like it. But then I said, I went completely opposite. I'm like, try May, December. She also didn't like that one. So 2 fails, even though the first one I didn't even recommend to her and she still watched it anyways. But George, anything you've recommended that people didn't like?
Yeah. Well, one of my friends, this is just the one that recently comes to mind. One of my friends recently watched Silver Linings Playbook, which just to begin with is a very polarizing movie, I think.
I just
he did not like it.
I loved it. Like more rewatch.
Yeah, I love Silver Linings Playbook. I think everything from the lead performances to the minute supporting performances, everything from the screenplay to the lessons and its thematic richness, that movie's just fantastic. But yeah, one of my best friends, he was texting me throughout the movie, and he was actually texting in our group chat. It's my friend Rob, who's in our fantasy league, Tyler. He didn't like it. I think he went with a 2.5 or a 2 maybe.
Tough scenes.
But it took him 2 tries to even finish the movie.
Tough scenes. I don't know if I said it, but Dean Cotamanidis was one who asked that question, so shout out to him. Yeah, let's see. So Sean Morales asks, what's a movie you refused to watch for either no reason or you thought you'd hate it, but then you watched it and ended up really liking it? So a movie you just thought you'd hate that you ended up really liking.
I'm gonna sleep. There'll be something on my letterbox happened recently. There'll be some
movie.
Maybe Dungeons and Dragons for you, Seth.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example. I really, really liked it, and I thought I would.
I could say Wonka.
No, but you were like in the middle of Wonka, though. You weren't.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I would say, I'll say the Super Mario Bros. Movie, just because of the reception that movie got, and I ended up giving it a 3.5. I had a blast with that movie. So, but again, I didn't think I would hate that movie. I just didn't think I would like it.
Man, my perfect example is The
Um,
Blackening, because that was back when I would like predict what I would rate movies out of 10 that were coming out that month. And that was like Juneteenth when it came out. And I predicted I would give it a 0.1 out of 10. Like the trailer I just thought looked awful.
Jesus Christ.
I hated the trailer so much. I ended up giving like a 3.5 out of 5. And I think it's my favorite comedy the entire year. So definitely thought I would hate that movie and I ended up loving it.
A 0.1 out of
10. I thought the trailer was just terrible. The market, and same with not as extreme, but Joyride. I hated the trailer, and I ended up liking that as well. So
I didn't know if I'd like. There's gonna be loads of options, but The Edge of Tomorrow, I didn't know if I'd like that. To be honest, I think it would be
Edge of Tomorrow, great movie.
Yeah, and I really liked that.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons for me.
I mean, and there are so many movies I'm just putting off, but like, not because I think I'm gonna hate them, just because I'm just like, I need to be in like the right, like for like Battle Royale. I've been meaning to watch Battle Royale for the last decade or so, or however fucking long ago it came out.
Same.
And I don't know. I'm just every time
to watch it for 23 years.
Every time I come across it and I'm looking for a movie, I'm like, maybe tonight's the night, but like I'm just like I need to be there. Like I need to be in that right mindset.
Yeah, shows me. I hope
I'm not. And there's so many movies like that.
Yeah, definitely.
M. Bates asks, have you ever randomly gotten an idea or concept for a movie series? And I actually have one. I was planning on making a TikTok about this, but it's better to just leave for the pod. So reality shows, I think reality shows are getting stale and we need to start combining them, mixing them together. I think a Survivor American Idol crossover where there's hidden immunity idols. They're surviving on an island, have to cook their own food, sleep in the muck, and then they have to get up in front of everyone and sing a song and try and stay and not be voted on. They can find a hidden immunity idol to stay on for another week. Crossover Survivor and American Idol. Another one, Undercover Boss and The Office. I want to see cutaways of like the other coworkers in the office being like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, he just comes in here. He's the shittiest work I've ever seen. He's the CEO of the company. Just start crossing over some shows. Make something fresh. Make some babies. But what do you guys got? I need to hear your guys' movie or series.
I've thought of a few horror ideas, but I'm going to keep them right here. I'm going to keep them here.
A while ago, I watched... It was when I was home on Long Island and I had watched Evil Dead Rise, and then it was like midnight and I had to walk my dog. And as I'm walking my dog, I'm thinking this would be like it could be such a good idea for like a short film. Like, dude,
I think you said this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've told you guys this. Like a short horror film, like a dude just walking his dog at night, like everything, like he's a paranoid, like kind of like a Beau is Afraid type of movie, but he just goes up and down his block once. 10 minutes, that's it. Shitting his pants, walking the dog. I don't know, that's it. And then the other day, it was actually so funny you actually bring up this this question, because like 2 weeks ago, I had the most vivid dream that I was making my own coming of age film. It was like when I was like, maybe not 2 weeks ago. It was a little bit after I had watched Almost Famous, and like that was the only thing going through my mind. And I swear I had just the most vivid dream that I was like, I was doing it. I was making this coming of age film. It was getting Oscar buzz. I was doing such a good job. And I woke up and I like forgot the idea. I forgot what the movie was about. But yeah, that was a weird dream.
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts. I like the dog walk dream. I might steal that off you.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah.
I'll star in it.
Seth, you're keeping your ideas close to the chest in case you
I have like a cool ideas, nothing like major, but I am wanting to make a short horror film in the next couple of years or so.
Love that. Evan O'Donnell asks, what is the greatest Christmas movie of all time? Seth, I think I know your answer immediately.
Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2 or Willy Wonka.
Or
Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka's like a fence one, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Home Alone 2 is an actual,
Yeah. Die Hard.
Die Hard. I'll go with The Holdovers. Just because I'm never that high on Christmas movies in general, and that movie is just so comforting to me. I love it, man.
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting if I'm saying the name, so sorry. Evan O'Donnell is the one.
You are.
You say the name. Did you say
you are saying?
Okay. Well, you know what? I don't think we'll be upset getting 2 shout outs. So Reese David asks, "What is your fondest memory with a film? Like, do you just felt unmatched happiness while watching something?" I'm sure we have plenty that can pop in our head for something we watch. I've overcome with emotion.
Lord of the Rings, watch it with my dad as a kid and my mom. That's probably the funnest. Introducing Anna for the first time to Lord of the Rings, that's a massive fun memory to me. So probably one of them. But I have these fun memories every week. You know what I mean? Wonka. Recently,
yeah, I was just about to say.
So,
I don't know. Like every time I watch La La Land, I'm like, it's just a fond memory. It's just a great fucking time. More recently, I guess I've been tossing out Almost Famous a lot, but like that was like just such a fun, incredible experience for me. Just like the most, believe it or not, that was like the fastest 5-star I've ever thrown out after a movie. Like I took to Letterboxd and immediately just pumped those stars all the way up to 5.
For me, it's like introducing someone to a film I love, and then and them loving it as well. That's like, you know, a huge thing.
But also, there's just so many, even just like from like this, like Godzilla, like that was just such a rush of adrenaline.
I'm going to see next week and going to see Godzilla with my dad, and I know that my dad will love that, and that's going to be I took my mum to see Banshees, and she loved it, and that was just such a nice thing. You know what I mean? When like it's usually introducing people and going to see things with people like who
like
I love.
John Wick 4. Like John Wick 4 was such an incredible, seeing it on like that massive Lincoln Square screen this year. Same thing with Across the Spider-Verse. Like, God, I this prompt we can do an entire episode.
Yeah,
true.
First thing that comes to mind, like it jogged my memory when you said just showing someone a film. So my buddy came and visited me back in March, and he'd never seen Interstellar, and we watched it, and it was just like one of those moments, like when you show someone a movie and they don't say anything throughout, you're always kind of like, "Fuck!" Like, is this gonna be one of those that the end credit hits? You're like, "So what do you think?"
Are you a guy that looks at them? Like just to check their reaction.
Yeah, definitely. I'll peek over and see like, what do you think?
When something happens, and it's like funny, and you're like,
like, or like a super sad moment. I'm like, is this hitting? This hitting for you?
I do it all the time.
I do that with Victoria. One thing about Victoria with when we're like watching a movie at home, she'll go on her phone every so often, even if she's loving the movie. Like she'll check like a quick Instagram or a text. But like sometimes she'll be like silent watching this movie, and then she'll go on her phone, and I'm like, oh.
It's always at the worst times you do it as well. It's when you know something's about
to
happen.
We were watching this comedy special yesterday, and she was on her phone for like half the time, and I'm like, you are missing some of the funniest shit right now. I was like, fuck. You're not liking this that much.
It's just like when people are silent or they're go on their phones, usually like a death sentence. But like when someone's silent, like I'm showing a movie, like he's silent the entire Interstellar, I'm like, this might not be good. But then the movie ended. He's like, that was one of the best movies I've seen in my entire life. I'm like, oh God.
Oh, God.
This is a long movie too. It's like 2 hours 40. I'm like, did I just? Are you gonna hate me now for the rest of the day? That I just wasted your time with this. But thank you, Reese David, for that question. That's a great topic. A lot of these questions are great that we could just like chew on for an entire episode. Final question of the episode. Final question of Q&A is by Ferdinando4. What is the best Christmas food? Obviously in America and also Canada, we have Thanksgiving, but Christmas food usually a little different but similar. There's a lot of the same players.
Are we saying like the individual food?
Yeah, just like when you're having like a Christmas dinner, whatever holiday dinner you're celebrating around December, when you sit down, you fill up your plate. What's like that one thing you're like, yes,
the ham every time. That's the one thing.
Ham is
even like on Thanksgiving, like I'll have more ham on my plate than turkey.
Ham is better than turkey though. Like that's just a fact.
For sure.
Turkey's dry as fuck, man. Unless you put like loads of stuff on there, it's like a bit. I'll say, we have beef a lot when I have a Christmas dinner around, so I'll say beef.
Like what kind of like how is it made? Like what kind of beef? Like, is it beef mince? Is it beef roast? Is it?
No, it's roast. It's roast.
Okay.
I do like some roast beef, and then I don't know. Do you guys know what Yorkshire puddings are by any chance?
Yeah, just only because of the Great British Bake Off.
They're like, it's like a fluffy pastry dough thing, George. They're like crispy. Very, 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 very nice. And then roast potatoes as well. That was great. I am a Brussels guy. I've just fucking hell, man. I'm naming like 10 things. I'll say Yorkshire puddings. I'll say that's my
nice. So we got ham, Yorkshire pudding. I'll go. My family always makes like cheesy hash browns, and it's just absolutely delicious.
Oh yeah, nice.
Cheesy hash browns. But also, why is turkey the universal like Thanksgiving food and like holiday meal when it's a food that 99% of the time people prepare it, they fuck it up. So like, why don't we just pick something easier? Like they either make it dry, they light their house on fire, deep frying it. Like just do ham. You just throw it in the oven.
Turkey gets so dry as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're like, oh well, turkey won't be dry if you inject it with syringes every 2 minutes of a 5-hour process. It's like
when done well though, turkey is like amazing, but it's hard.
It's just so hard for them to do it right.
Yeah.
Those are all the questions. Thank you all. I guess are we done? I can read through the executive producers.
Yeah, you want to read through the producers?
Yeah. So again, just a huge shout out to all our patrons, and shout out to these ones specifically for being executive producers of the show. Check out the Patreon links down in the description down below. But shout out Alexander Biscardi, Connor Connaughton, Dakota Buckner, Dean Cotamanidis, Dylan Chip, Ferdinando 4, James Magos, Jimmy O'Connor, Jordan Gagg, Josh Hines, Casper Lundberg, Raem Bates, Reese David, Rocco 1.0, Robert Leo Gislason, Sean Morales, Stefan Johnson, and Will Kim.
Nice. Perfect. So obviously, as I mentioned at the start, if you haven't checked out our Patreon below, you can obviously recommend us games. You can recommend us movies. This week, we have 2 Real Quicks coming out on Thursday and Friday as usual. Friday will be a review of, what's the name of the
Secret
film?
Life of Walter Mitty.
Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Ben Stiller's film, and then we'll also be doing a real quick draft on the best movie titles, which is a really, really good idea. So check out the benefits. Also, thanks very much for the support on TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate us on Spotify. Follow us on TikTok as well if you haven't already, because the new edits are very, very good. Thank you to Matteo, who's doing our edits at the moment. They are fantastic. We appreciate you all for listening, and we will speak to you soon.
Peace.